Welcome to the Weekend Live Show.
508 is where I'm from.
We run down the biggest stories of the week with you every Saturday night. Let us know in the comments right now where you reppin'.
Apache Junction, Taunton, Worcester, Long Island, Manchard, South Florida, Webster, Malden, Framingham, Tucson, Billerica, Salem, Gloucester, Moosop, Connecticut, Charleston, South Carolina, Roslindale, Moosop, Connecticut, London, Hanson, Glendale, Arizona, Lynn, Mapleville, Quincy.
Food stamps, leave your clothes, buddy, and
hey, you a funny ass guy, man.
Have you ever heard of Turtleboy? Yeah? Are you a fan?
508 is where I'm from.
Hey, what's up?
508 is where I'm from.
How was that?
You a freaking idiot. Stop telling people that I'm mentally deranged and stupid.
Call me Aidan. I'm not a doctor, but...
Get out of my store, please.
You're fucking like you're nobody.
You're not turtle hair. Don't make such fun of the criminal justice system.
NFL on the house, log out.
Let's get this party started.
And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
Tick, tick, boom. Boys, go baby, we bringing our toys. Boys, chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets.
Karen Reed has supporters who've shown up in large numbers.
Tick, tick, boom. Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this, so it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
This is the first time I think I've ever seen this. An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Unbelievable situation. Never seen anything like it.
Tick, tick, boom. You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. It's go, 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 go time. Tick, tick, boom.
Boom! What's up, Turtle Riders? How's everyone out there doing tonight? Good? This is going to annoy me. I got to fix that. There we go. Good, good, excellent. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your fearless host. My name is Aidan Kearney. Some people call me Clarence Woods Emerson. That's my Facebook name. Old school Turtle Riders, they call me Uncle Turtleboy. I prefer Dr. Turtleboy because if Jill Biden's a doctor, so am I. All right. Some call me Journalism Jesus. Some people call me Daddy. Definitely not required to. You can if you want to. I won't oppose it, but I understand that could be a little weird. My volume dropped. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully you can. We'll see. But okay. So anyway, I don't care what you call me. Just be here every Tuesday and Saturday night. Usually we've been doing Sundays. This whole Bruins and Celtics thing fucks everything up. I scheduled tonight's show. I did it Sunday this week because the Celtics were on at 8:30 yesterday, and that directly conflicts. And like usually NHL games are 2.5 hours. It was supposed to end right at this time, and Bruins were up 2-0. So I'm like, oh, sweet. I don't have to worry about shit. I don't have to worry about. And then next thing you know, it's 3-2 Panthers. So season's probably over. It's looking like it. There's 8 minutes and 23 seconds left for the Bruins. Keep me posted on that. I'm sure you will in the comments. But the Bruins aren't winning shit this year anyway. Like, be honest, guys. Nobody's And we thought the Brewers were going shit this year anyway. So just be happy. We have the Celtics. Celtics going to win it all. It's going to be awesome. So we'll be good. Anyway, I'll thank you. I feel a little bit better. So that's good. Probably feels like shit tomorrow. We'll see. Because again, if Tuesday and Saturday night, so make sure you smash that subscribe button. We've gotten like over 2,000 subscribers in the last 48 hours. Thanks to Auntie Bev making me like the bad boy of law and like true crime. I'm like the true crime bad boy now. They call me. I get kicked out of courtrooms. Like I'm the only. Has that ever happened before? Has an accredited member of the media, an award-winning journalist, ever been ejected from a high-profile murder trial? Like because I made somebody say Bukkake in court? Like has that ever happened? Because it just happened, and they left my seat empty. They poured one out for the homies. That happened. So yeah. Pretty wild shit. Okay. Real quick. So we need a call to action here. Call to action. And by the way, how many people we got watching right now? Oh, nice. Over 3,000 on YouTube. How many Rumble Rats? Do we have Rumble Rats going right now? Let's see. How many Rumble Rats? Turtleboy. I know some of you people keep it real over there. Turtleboy. There it is. We got 179 Rumble Rats right now. Nice to see you people over there. And a whole mess of people on the Twitter machine. So this is what we need to talk about. Where's my chair? So look at. You guys know that 𝗵𝗲𝗃 is just a piece of shit. Like he's the worst, right? He's the worst. And he is a real problem that apparently the court is just allowing this free-for-all down there. It's an absolute zoo to get in. There's like 13 or 14 reporters that want to get in every day, but there's only 10 seats. They could easily let more than 10 in. Like it's not a problem. There's plenty. But, basically it allows some autistic loser like 𝗵𝗲𝗃 who he's decided that he's in charge of the line and no one is telling him he's not. And so he just stands there and calls me a rapist and just, defames me on there. Just nonsense. And yeah, you just have to stand there and take it. It is what it is. Because he wins when you even engage with him. But 𝗃𝗲𝗃 Machado from the Fall River Reporter got down there early today at like 9 o'clock this morning and put in her chair with the sign. Because this is how the system works. You just put a chair with your name on it and then it's your chair. Because I went the other night and it was all empty chairs. Our chair was fourth. And all the other chairs were empty. They had names on them and no one was sitting in them. And I don't see anything written about a system. I don't see any written rules, but apparently Grant just decides he's in charge of the rules and he gets to just move people's chairs. Like he thinks he's in charge of this shit. So we put our chair this morning at 11. We're second after 𝗃𝗲𝗃 Machado, right? And there's no unwritten rule about like there's no rule about like you have to be in the chair the whole time because nobody does that. So how like sometimes you got to go take a dump or go take a nap or something, go get food, right? Who knows? Shower. Some of us like to shower, not Grant. And so you want to do that. Well, so this morning, I didn't make an announcement about like I want people to sit in the chair. Because I wasn't sure if it was going to be necessary. Because I feel like if I announce I'm coming, then it just invites Grant. He only goes down there to try to keep me out. And like I said, doesn't dress appropriately, nothing. So, we got people sitting in the chair a little bit today, off and on. There's no set rule about like how far, how long, how many minutes can you be away from the chair before you give it up? And he just decided to move his to the front spot. So we moved it back. And then this shit happens. Like all hell broke loose. I'll show you what happened. Again, I would suggest like the courthouse come up with some sort of system so that like you're literally a lack of leadership. Somebody should do something about this. Like
Again, while I am in my car, I am
Sweetie,
going to have you taken off these steps, and I will have you reported to court.
go for it. His chair was first in the beginning.
The timestamp.
No.
And you must stay here. You must sleep here. If you leave,
No.
media will be taking your spots, and guess what?
No,
You
it's
will-
not how it goes.
No, but guess what? Either of us decide in the morning if you do not sleep here. Which I will be able to prove because I'm sleeping here. Other media will win.
Every other meteor chair was here and they didn't sleep here. Wow.
I have the actual thing. Now, you may sleep here. You
Okay.
touch anyone else's property who's in that thing.
You can take breaks, right?
You may go to your car. You may go to the bathroom.
Yep, you can go get food.
If you leave for more than 30 minutes to an hour and you're not here,
Mhm.
DC shows up,
30 minutes to an hour. Because he just makes this shit
I
up.
think we will.
Somehow this fucking unemployed
Trust me.
loser who smells like shit and everybody hates him. Like Sue O'Connell hates him. Ted Daniel hates him. Literally everyone hates him. And he just gets to just decide arbitrarily the rules because no one from the courthouse wants to provide any sort of leadership and say, you can't do that. This is going to get somebody hurt. This motherfucker touches me or touches my property, it's going to be a fucking problem. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a fucking problem. So if the people from the courthouse are watching this, I suggest you do something about it because somebody's going to get fucking hurt and it's not going to be me. I mean, look at this fucking loser.
We already have proof that his chair was number one.
you can put your chair down, but if you leave, you lose it.
You left, so you lost it.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
You weren't here when it was moved, so you lost it.
Talking about when I was in the bathroom, I have colitis, you fucking asshole.
I already know that, sweetie. We all know that.
Right, so I have my timestamp picture, and I have.
And so don't we.
Right, so I showed.
Right, exactly.
Like, oh,
I know I'm
So this goes on and on. Then there was this video, real quick. I won't spend too much time on this, I promise. But I need to make an announcement.
Won't be doing that.
So I hope you know that every single time a news outlet comes and you are not in either of these chairs, one or two of them is getting moved. If
All right,
you're in one of them is getting
if
moved.
that's the game
That's
you're
the
going to
game.
play,
No, you are sleeping in the chair.
we will do the same thing back to you.
You were sleeping in the chair. You may go to the bathroom, you may sleep in your car, whatever, but you are sleeping in the chair or in your car.
So then you got to do the same. If you are gone for more than 15 minutes, I will move that chair.
Oh, you can sleep in your car.
I will move that chair.
You can sleep in your car with me. That's fine. You can sleep in your car. I can sleep in mine. But you are not going
And
anywhere.
I'll be talking to them in the morning.
Who do you think has more credibility?
The courthouse has more than you.
No, with them.
You are a nobody.
Me or you, some random
are a
line holder.
nobody.
You guys are going to stay here. You want to do it? You need two people, by the way. Where's your other person?
Then I don't need two people.
Oh, so which chair are you picking? Because I'm telling you, another outlet comes. One of these is going down unless you have two people here.
There's one chair there.
No. I see an outlet here and an outlet here. I see you representing him. No one for this person. So this person is going behind you when another outlet comes.
She can guard her own chair.
She needs to be here. Or someone on your behalf.
All right, so it's going to be the same from now on.
Of course. Who do you think's been sleeping here, you fucking moron? Respect my commitment.
When you do that,
respect me.
You respect us.
You sleep overnight for 2 weeks.
That chair.
Excuse me. You must be here. You must sleep overnight for weeks like me. Then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Otherwise, get in your chair and sleep.
And believe me, that will happen. Your chair will be moved if you touch that chair.
At some point, the police need to do something about this. The Dedham police need to do something about this. That's fucking her property. That's Jessica Machado's chair. He has no right to fucking touch it. Don't touch my fucking property. Like, the police need to do something about this. If the courthouse somebody's going to get fucking hurt. This guy is out of control. He's an instigator, and eventually somebody's going to fucking hit him. That's what he wants, obviously, but eventually somebody's going to hit him. So maybe like the police or the court, somebody should do something about this. Don't touch other people. Have some sort of order, okay? This cannot go on the whole trial. This is out of fucking control, and they need to do something about it. Because this guy thinks he's in charge, and he's clearly insane. He's an insane person. So anyway, for now, this is I don't know what's going to happen, right? I didn't set up shifts for this time because I didn't think I had to because no one else had people on shifts the other night. So I have a guy going down there now, Russell. If anyone wants to keep him company periodically throughout the night, Graciously appreciate that. I will be there bright and early tomorrow. Plan to be there by 6. Before, hopefully, most of these other reporters, right? Be there bright and early. But I'd feel more comfortable if we could get some people out there kind of manning the area. That would really help. If anyone's out there, feel free to message me. If you're a night owl, you want to go down there for an hour, 2, whatever. Okay. Yeah. Like I'm guessing like the 3 to 5 time is going to be a real problem, because this piece of shit, this is how he speaks to women. This is how he speaks to women. So anyway, as you guys may know, I am, thanks to Auntie Bev, and we'll get into it tonight, I can go sometimes. I have free press rights sometimes when one of these fake victims, and there's a lot of fake victims, not just the fake victim, but there's also all these McAlbert fake victims who claim that they're threatened and intimidated by me. They're not. They're not scared at all. They're rattled by me. I make it difficult for them to lie. That's why they avoid me. When I ask them questions, I make them uncomfortable. I ask them why Jennifer McCabe Googled how long did I uncold, and she doesn't have an answer for it. She doesn't want me in the courtroom when Alan Jackson asks her that question because I will rattle her. We saw it. If I was not in the courtroom the other day, I was in the courtroom for an hour. It took all of 30 minutes for the word bukkake to be mentioned on the official court record twice. That's it. Nobody ever said bukkake in a court of law, ever. Ever. We've been doing, in the history of law and order, the word bukkake has never been said in a courtroom. And then I got a media pass for an hour. And we got bukkake twice. She corrected herself and said bukkake. She pronounced bukkake wrong. And then she said it the right way. We're going to get to that. Okay. Now here's the deal. So if anybody wants to, please message me or message Erica Walsh. Or just go down there. We need all hands on deck. So, yeah. Also, if you'd like to donate to and have your message read, we don't have super chat around here if you're new here. I had the wrong opinion a couple of years ago about the vaccine mandate. And so they just don't let me take your money when that happens. So no problem. They just take 30, 40% anyway. So we built our own thing. It's called Turtle Chat. If you click at the link at the top, you can donate whatever amount of money. And when you do that, you get to write a message. I'll read that message out loud to the class when I get it in my email. Or you can cash at me at $UncleTurtleboy. Let me bang through a couple right now. Peter sends $25 and says, thank you for all your time and hard work covering this case. My pleasure, Pete from Quincy. Thank you very much. Luca from Malden sends $5, says, happy Mother's Day to my wife. She introduced me to Turtleboy back when you were doing stories on sleeping fupa slugs. Oh, man. Haven't used that word in a while. But yeah, that's old school. Thank you, Luca from Malden. Next up is from Shelly. Says, Uncle, how come you're not on court TV? Nick Rocco is nice and all, but that should be you on there demolishing Plevin. You know this case better than anyone, and you went to jail for this. There would be no Plevin or Nick without you. Seems like people have no loyalty these days. Old school riders and new ones have your back. Well, thank you, Shelly. So real quick about that, because a lot of people have been posting about that and asking about that. And look, I'd be honest with you real quick, okay? Real talk. It does bug me a little bit, not going to lie. Like when I turn, so this is like what I've been working towards. For the last year, and more than a year now, I have written more than 350 stories on this, right? I have uncovered shit that no one else has. The stuff that we have come up with has been used multiple times in defense filings. I have been charged with a whole bunch of bullshit felonies that I'm only being charged with because I'm standing up for Karen Reed. That's the only reason I've been charged with these crimes. They're fake. All right. And I went to jail for 60 days. I could have gotten out whenever I wanted to. I could have gotten out. I have sacrificed for this shit. Right. And now is the most important time. Now is when it's supposed to all pay off. The most probably watched show, right, on TV is, you know, what like everybody's talking is 𝗬𝗏𝗄𝗃's primetime, right? It's the biggest show. And quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. I deserve to be on there. I earn that shit. Every night they have on there, they have just a default pro-Kearney one, an anti-Kearney person, and then a lawyer, right? And it's 𝗵𝗏, and I don't mind 𝗵𝗏 being on there because I want the other side to look stupid because they are. So he's perfect for that regard, right? But you know, the lawyer, whatever. It's like, but like the Nick thing, it's like, again, nothing against Nick. I've said good things about him in the past. A lot of people have, you know, come to me and said, you know, or he's a fame whore, clout chase him. And I've always stood by him. Always. I've never said anything negative about him. But I'm just saying, if I were in Nick's shoes personally, and I'm just saying, if I were in his shoes and I wrote 0 articles on this and I uncovered 0 evidence, right? And I spent 0 days in jail over any of this. And I was offered a spot on Court TV, even though I don't have a YouTube show. I built nothing. If I was in a position where I built absolutely fucking nothing, and then Turtleboy, who did all this work, isn't on there, I personally would say I can't put him on instead. But because that's me. I'm just kind of a loyal fucking guy like that. I'm just, nobody knows this better than me. Nobody can articulate like me. No one can spit out the facts like me. No one can debate like me. And again, it's the most critical time. And every time I turn on the fucking TV, it's Nick Rocco. And I don't get, it's like, so anyway, that's just my thought on that. You ask my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay. But anyway, I'm not turning on Nick. I'm just saying, that's what I would do in that position. So is what it is. Anyway. Okay. So what else do we have here? Next one. We have Chris sends $50 and says, are the objections regarding Cellbrite phone info being sustained and discussed at sidebar due to the federal investigation and what could be asked of these witnesses when they become defendants? Are the objections regarding Cellbrite phone info being sustained and discussed at sidebar? I have no idea. I have no idea the answer to that one, Chris. And what could be asked of these witnesses when they become defendants? Well, when they become defendants, they, you know, they have Fifth Amendment rights. They don't have to say shit. But they can technically assert their Fifth Amendment rights. I think Mike Proctor might start doing that, right? So anyway, but all right. All right. So next one. Little Irish girl sends $10. It says, great Karening the fuck out of the press line. Did you see the story on X about Grant Smith Ellis? Big Hope connection today. Journalism is not a crime. No, I did not see that, but thank you very much. And that is basically what he's doing. He's being a Karen in the line. That's true. Next one. Rebecca sends $5. Says, thanks for doing a real journalism. I hate seeing all this shit the Commonwealth is pulling to try and smear your credibility and discredit the facts you have brought to light. In time, the truth will all come out. Tick, tick, boom. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca. Next one. D sends $10 and says, you're amazing. Fuck them all. Thank you very much, D. Lisa sends $10. Says, Dr. Turtleboy, I live on Catalina Island in California and have followed you since I found out about this case. You do an awesome job reporting and dealing with a certain jackass at the court. Tell me about it. I cried when you got released from jail. Oh, you're too nice. Your kids suffered as you did when you were in jail for nothing. Exactly. That's my point. I went to jail for fucking nothing, man. Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. They literally dropped the charges the day I got out. It's all fake. None of this shit is real, right? None of them are going to stick. It's all fake. That's it. But anyway, next one. What else we got? Oh, we're getting a bunch here. Amy sends $10. Says, you're the man. Don't ever change. We need people like you exposing it all. Forever a turtle rider. Thank you, Amy. And another Amy sends $50 and says, watching from Michigan. Wish I could be there to support you in person. You're doing an amazing job uncovering the corruption and can keep it up. Much love, MAGA Barbie. Thank you. A couple more here before we get started, and then I'll get the cash apps later. Erin sends $20, says, Happy Mother's Day, Auntie 𝗵𝗂𝗧, love, Roger and Pineapple, free Karen Reed. Thank you very much. Autumn sends $5, says, thank you for everything you've done. You've done a great job covering this case. I also want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Crystal, who got me into watching you and this case. Happy Mother's Day, Crystal. Excellent job. Tara sends $5 and says, will Duggan face charges for becoming aggressive with Karen? Again, I don't know that. I have no evidence that happened. That's it. I don't know. I have no evidence that actually fucking happened. Back in the day, people would tell me that's a story I'd like to write about. And, but now it seems it's something that's written on a justice group for likes. That seems to be what happens now. So anyway, okay. Anything else? Do we have any more here? All right. Mike sends $10, says the only reason the Commonwealth's case sucks is because they're hopelessly trying to defend all of the facts you uncovered. Their train wreck of a case is all due to your reporting. Thank you very much, Mike. Danielle sends $10, no comment, and thank you very much, Danielle. Okay. All right. So I'll get to all the cash apps later. You can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtleboy, or you can, do whatever you want. You can send me a turtle chats, link to the top, etc. All right, cool. Let's jump right into this. By the way, if you guys missed Sean on the 𝗃𝗄𝗃 rant today, can we just listen to a couple of minutes of this? Because Brian Albert Day is tomorrow. Brian Albert Day is tomorrow. And it's going to be awesome. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. I don't think we understand this. Alan Jackson has been salivating over this for a long time. It's his time to fuck tomorrow. Brian Albert orchestrated this whole thing, right? He is the smartest one of them by far. He is the most seasoned one. He is the kind of guy you want in your corner if you accidentally murder someone and, you want to cover it up. He's exactly the kind of guy you want in your corner, right? So, tomorrow's going to be awesome. And Sean of the Golf was all mad. He was all mad about it. So let me show you this. All right. Let me show you this. Can we just listen to a couple minutes of this? Because this was fucking awesome. So,
you say you show up, right? All right. So here we go. Poor Julie. Let's face it. She's a mother. She's trying to do. One.
I don't think he was drunk, but
hey, I'm almost at an hour. You really think so, Brian? It's going to be your worst nightmare. I hope there's extra security guys. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, court officers, batten down the hatches, man. This kid's gonna flip out. I hope you take all those pills you're supposed to be taking, Brian. I don't know what it is. Whatever they give you over there at Brockton. I don't know where you go. Where do you go? West Bronx or Brockton? Which one is it? I hope you're off the roids. I don't know how that counteracts with your PTSD. I don't know. I don't know what they give you, but I'll tell you right now.
Sean doesn't.
You did the hokey doke. Okay. You probably should have followed the doctor's orders, but you didn't. All right. You are definitely going downtown tomorrow, brother. You are. I don't even feel bad for you. I really don't, because you deserve it. All right. You kept your little lily white ass in that bedroom upstairs, looking at everyone out there. You knew from get-go what happened to John O'Keefe. You did. And they got you. And I want to tell you right now, if anyone has, listen, guys, I barely had the plug on to go on today. I had to set up this whole thing, but hey, how do you like the background? I got a new thing here, right? All those donations you gave me a whole new background. Look at this. Look at this.
Anyway, you got the joke. Right? Anyway, he did an awesome, what's his channel called? Sean, going through the motions. He does. If you want to get fired up for tomorrow, go listen to Sean's rant. It was great. But anyway, let me see here. Let's pull it up. Let me pull up. So the Bruins definitely lost. That one's over. Okay, we saw that one coming. All right. So let's start with, I got some timestamps here from the other day, and we're going to watch some of this stuff. All right, let me start with Julie.
Jury yesterday that when I asked you about how often you spoke to Courtney Proctor by phone, you said, well, rarely.
I don't remember.
What's your definition of rarely?
Not daily. Not daily. Not. Yes.
Once in a blue moon?
No.
Rarely doesn't mean to you 67 phone conversations within a 7-month period, does it?
A 67 time period in how many? 8 months?
In about 7 months, 67 times.
It's not a lot. I wouldn't think it's a lot in 7 months.
3 times in one day? Is that rarely?
No, but I'm not. That wasn't every day. I was.
Okay, well, when you left the stand yesterday, did you log into your account or check any old bills to confirm those 67 calls?
No, I did not.
Did you speak to Mr. Lally about those 67 calls after we broke yesterday and before you took the stand today?
I don't believe so, no.
Did you call Courtney Proctor in one of those rare occasions yesterday?
No, I did not.
This morning?
No, I did not.
Were you curious as to whether or not you had actually called her those 67 times?
Objection.
Sustained.
So it's pretty cool, by the way, seeing this in person because you don't get to see the attorney. David Yannetti just paces back and forth. He's got a really interesting demeanor when he does this. But she's just lying about the amount of times that she talks to him. And I see the jury, right? I saw the jury. This is an educated jury that's paying attention to every single word. I have full confidence that they know that these people are lying. This woman just comes across as a liar. She's been caught in lies. She lied to police. We know because they've got their phones. They've got their phones.
In any case, regarding all of those 67 phone calls from February 1st until September 6th, do you maintain that during none of those calls or any portion of those calls did you and Courtney Proctor discuss the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe?
I do not remember.
I don't remember.
Do you deny discussing that investigation?
I don't deny, but I do not remember.
All right. Well, you admitted yesterday after having seen the records that you spoke with Michael Proctor's sister for 12 minutes on February 1st of 2022. Do you recall that?
I don't recall the conversation. No, I don't. It was a long time ago.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. Finish your
I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. I just don't remember.
Okay. But my question is, after seeing the records, you saw the phone call for over 12 minutes, correct?
Correct.
And you also remember that that was the very day that the police arrested Karen Reed for this case, correct?
Correct.
The arrest of Karen Reed on February 1st was pretty big news in Massachusetts, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You had seen that arrest all over the news, correct?
Correct.
So you certainly, given the day and the fact that it was February 1st and my client was arrested that day and you're talking to the lead investigator's sister, the subject of Karen Reed's arrest had to have come up, right?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
You certainly mentioned my client's arrest with Courtney Proctor on the very day that she was arrested and you were talking to Courtney, correct?
Correct.
Now, when we broke for the day yesterday, I had also asked you about the 3 phone calls that you had with Michael Proctor's sister on the morning of February 2nd when my client was arraigned, correct?
Correct.
And you recall that her arraignment was televised publicly, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Again,
you saw her on the news being arraigned, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And one of those phone calls after, well, strike that. With regard to the 3 phone calls before the arraignment, you knew at that time that my client had been arrested the day before, correct?
Correct.
And you knew she would be arraigned in court that morning, correct?
Correct.
Certainly, when you were talking to Michael Proctor's sister on February 2nd, before her 9 o'clock arraignment, you were discussing the 9 o'clock arraignment, correct?
Can you repeat the end of that, please?
On February 2nd, the day that my client was scheduled to be arraigned in Stoughton District Court, we're talking about the 3 phone calls that you made to Michael Proctor's sister before that arraignment that very day. And my question is, certainly you were discussing the fact that she was about to be arraigned, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Did the subject of Karen Reed's arraignment come up in any of those 3 calls on February 2nd, the day she was going to be arraigned, before her arraignment?
I don't remember exactly.
Did it?
What about the 27-minute phone call that you had with Courtney Proctor
remember.
at 10:58 a.m. that same day after my client was arraigned in court? Did you discuss the arraignment that had just happened?
I do not remember.
When she called him the day that Karen Reed was arraigned, she called her. Like, this is wild. The lead detective's sister that day calls him. Again, this is a woman whose son was never interviewed. Colin was never interviewed by police. He was inside the house and was never mentioned in any police reports, never interviewed, nothing. and she's constantly talking to the lead detective's sister.
You had already testified that by 2022, you were no longer babysitting for Courtney Proctor's case.
What a liar.
I wasn't babysitting regularly like I was before.
So is it your testimony that you happened to be talking about babysitting on February 2nd for 27 minutes, the same day that my client was arraigned in this court?
I don't remember what I was talking about. It could have been about the kids. It could have been about anything. I don't remember.
Sure. And certainly it could have been about the publicly televised arraignment that had just occurred, correct?
Objection.
So I'll allow this and then let's move away from this, okay? Can you answer that?
Yes, it could have been. Yes.
Did you tell Courtney Proctor during any of these 67 phone calls that you were a witness in her brother's case?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. You never told that.
Ms. Albert, you were at the waterfall on the night of January 28th, correct?
Answers like that, nobody believes that. Like, no juror believes that. Like, these people just come across as liars. And the most common thing I've heard about this case so far from people who are new to this and are just watching it for the first time is it seems like the McAlberts are the ones on trial, because they are, in a way. Because they are. This is not normal where the witnesses are the ones on trial constantly, where the Commonwealth, the state, is going out of the way to protect the witnesses instead of like using the witnesses as a weapon to get Karen Reed, which is what witnesses traditionally do. Traditionally, witnesses are used to convict defendants. In this case, what does this witness have to offer? Like, not all this witness is being used is just on the defensive. That's it. Even the prosecution is setting them up to be on the defensive, not to go on the offensive. That's the problem with this.
Yes.
And you also went to 34 Fairview on the morning of January 29th.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the
as of the date of these phone calls that we've discussed so far, the February 1st and the February 2nd, multiple phone calls. Trooper Proctor still had not interviewed you, correct?
Correct.
You were finally interviewed by Trooper Proctor on February 10th, about 13 days after John O'Keefe was found dead on Brian Albert's farm, correct?
Correct.
And you told Courtney Proctor that you were nervous to speak to her brother, Trooper Proctor, about this case. Do you remember that?
I do not remember those exact words, no.
But you were nervous to speak to him, correct?
Of course, I was nervous in general for a police interview. I mean, I don't know someone who wouldn't be.
Were you worried that one of Trooper Proctor's colleagues might ask to speak to your son, Colin, about what had happened on 29th?
Objection. Look at her face.
Was I nervous they would ask my son?
Yeah, were you nervous that one of the investigators in this case might approach your son to ask him about his whereabouts?
No.
Why not?
All right. In any case, you were interviewed at 5:30 p.m. on February 10th, correct?
Correct.
Where did that interview take place?
At my home in Canton.
Who was present for that interview?
Me, my husband, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper Bukkake.
Dude. Okay, stop. One more time. Stop it.
Trooper Bukkake. Trooper Bukkake. Trooper Bukkake. Trooper Bukkake.
Like, oh my God. Okay. So let me do a lot of people like, I wish I could have seen your face when this happened. Oh, I'm just sitting in court and everyone looks at me. Everybody looks at me. Like Grant, Grant was like, fuck. He was so mad. He was like, he lost, like his team lost. Everybody just looked at me like, did that just happen? Did that just happen? There is only like, I named him Bukkake. His name is Buchanan. I named him Bukkake, if you're unfamiliar. Bukkake is a sexual slur, if you're unfamiliar, of a woman or a man, I suppose, but usually a woman, who, accepts just, facial frosting everywhere, like from all directions. That's a Bukkake. Okay. And I named Buchanan that as a way to insult him. It's like, I call him Bukkake, right? And that's all I call him. And I do it so much. And I don't even know. I've never called him Buchanan. I don't know. And this is so satisfying to me when she said that, because it's like, you watch, she watches the show. She can't get enough of it. Trooper Bukkake. Like and the best part is she said Bukkake first. Again, listen again. She says Bukkake.
Trooper Bukkake.
One more time. Oh my God.
Michael Proctor
what?
agreed to interview you and your husband together, correct?
Objection.
Trooper.
Yes.
Trooper Bukkake. So she was like Bukkake is a mix between Buchanan and Bukkake. And so she realized, oh, no, it's not Bukkake. Excepting instead of going in the right direction when she corrected herself, which would be from Bukkake to Buchanan, she went in the wrong direction. She did Bukkake to Bukkake. And again, the whole court, we couldn't, like, I've never held in laughter like this before. And I swear to God, this is why I'm not allowed in the courtroom. It's because of this. I truly believe that this was like, we can't allow this to happen. He's already fucking with their heads. Even though I'm allowed to be in there with her. I don't have a charge with her. But I'm clearly, and I think that's why they let it go on, is because I don't have a charge with her. But
you were not in a police interrogation room, correct?
No, I was not.
And it wasn't particularly lengthy.
We could talk about Bukkake.
Yes.
You were not in a police interrogation room, correct? And the other trooper left, correct?
Correct.
Then
that's got to go.
At 6:17 p.m. that same night, shortly after you had been interviewed, you called Michael Proctor's personal cell phone number, correct?
6,000.
I don't remember.
Give us a big thumbs up if you haven't done already.
Let me have a moment.
Called Proctor's personal cell phone number, huh?
You didn't bring your cheaters today. Oh, you did? Good. Okay. May I approach Sean?
Yes.
I did. Like I held that shit in. Like it was.
I'm going to hand you one document. There's an orange sticky on it you can ignore. Okay. But right above the orange sticky, there's a date of February 10th. That's what I'm directing your attention. You could look at those two phone calls, ma'am, and look up at me when you're done.
I couldn't even think much after this because all I was thinking about was Bukkake. I couldn't even think. Like this next few minutes.
About those two phone calls on February 10th?
5 of them.
I mean, I just read them, but I don't remember.
Okay.
That's all I can think of.
You called Trooper Proctor at 6:17 p.m. and it appears to be a 5-second phone call. Did you see that?
Objection, Your Honor.
Do you recall that Trooper Proctor called you back that same day at 6:21 p.m. and that you spoke for about 4 minutes?
Objection, Your Honor.
Like how
do you deny speaking to Trooper Proctor for 4 minutes when he called you from his personal cell phone on February 10th of 2022 after you had been interviewed that day?
No, I don't deny it, but I don't remember it.
When did you get his personal cell phone number?
I don't remember.
7,000 watching on
Years
YouTube.
ago?
This is our biggest show ever.
I'm sure, yes.
Nice to
Because you've known that family for a long time.
Yes, I have.
And as you testify here today, you can't remember what that phone call would have been about, correct?
No, I do not remember.
Okay, I'd like to contrast your relationship with Karen Reed versus your relationships with Jennifer McCabe and Courtney Proctor. You would agree with me, and I think you testified yesterday, that Jennifer McCabe is one of your best friends.
Yes.
Correct.
And you call her Jen, correct?
Yes.
And Courtney Proctor is also one of your best friends, correct?
She's not one of my best friends. No, she's a good friend. She's not one of my best friends. No, she's my sister's best friend.
Gotcha. Okay, so your sister,
My sister Jillian. Yes.
Jillian is best friends with Courtney Proctor, and you're close friends with her, but not best friends.
Correct.
But you really only knew Karen Reed as John O'Keefe's girlfriend, correct?
Correct.
She was just an acquaintance of yours.
Yes.
There are no photos of you in a hot tub together, right? You and Karen Reed?
No.
There are no
This
photos.
part confused me at first, and it's going to make sense soon. There are no pictures of you in a hot tub with Karen Reed. And I'm like, wait, what? What are they getting at here? And then it hit me. They're establishing what a friendship is here. They're like, wait a minute, you don't have a picture because you're not friends with Karen Reed. So you don't have a picture of yourself in a hot tub with Karen Reed, right? Because you'd have to be friends with someone to do that. You see what he's doing with this? You see what he's said now? He's playing the long term here. You guys see what he's using her testimony for here? What he's trying to get in the jury's head? This is about Katie McLaughlin. They haven't forgotten about her. They're going to get to her tomorrow. And they're setting it in the jury's head. Hot tub together. They got a picture of Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert in a hot tub together. So if Caitlin Albert wants to say tomorrow, that's not a friend. Hot tub? Anyone? Hot tub? What's up with that hot tub?
Photos of you with your arms around each other at the beach, correct?
Yeah, the beach.
No.
You've never been to a baby shower with Karen Reed, correct?
Baby shower. See what she's doing? Fucking brilliant. Brilliant. It's brilliant. Like she was so confused. It's like, Julie, don't worry. It's not about you. They're just using your testimony to impeach a witness on Monday. Seal in.
You didn't have any contact with Karen Reed while you were growing up, correct?
No.
Karen Reed was definitely not from Canton, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow this and then you can move on.
No, she was not.
One more question. She was an outsider, correct, for Canton?
She didn't live in Canton.
But after she started dating John, you would see her driving in and out of the street, correct?
Yes.
You'd see her taking groceries in, correct?
Yes.
Because you were neighbors with John.
Yes.
And it was the fact that you'd see her around, taking groceries in and out of the house and being outside with the kids that led you to believe that she was not only connected to John, but also to his house on Meadows Ave, correct?
Yes.
And you would see her interacting with the kids outside, correct?
Yes.
She would be participating in family type activities with the kids outside?
Yes.
And you'd see her enough that you assumed that she was living there, correct?
Yes.
And I believe you stated that you had known her or seen her for maybe about 1.5 years or so. Is that a good estimate?
Yes.
And in all the time that you saw her in the neighborhood or had any contact with her and John, you never saw the two of them fight or argue, correct?
No.
You never heard them fight or argue, correct?
No.
No.
And you had been out with them in a group setting a handful of times, correct?
Just a couple of times.
And during those times, they always appeared to get along, correct?
Yes.
And you knew of no problems in their relationship, correct?
No.
And you were particularly impressed with the time Karen.
Yeah. No.
Karen and John came sometime after that?
I believe shortly after that, yes.
And they walked over to your table?
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And you left the waterfall at around 11 o'clock, your best memory?
A little after 11.
And it was a particularly bad migraine that night?
Yes.
And the loud music didn't help you out?
Not at all.
And you drove home?
Yes.
Now, when you got home, your son Colin was not there, correct?
Correct.
He was not out with you at the waterfall?
Correct.
He was out that night, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that he stops by your sister-in-law Nicole's house quite a bit, correct?
Yes.
He's very close to Nicole and Brian's kids, correct?
Correct.
He's also very close to his aunt and uncle, Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, correct?
Correct.
So you would have gotten home maybe shortly after 10 p.m. approximately?
Around 11. Yep. Around that.
Okay.
And that was when you entered an empty house, correct?
Yeah.
My son Dylan was home.
Oh, Dylan was home.
Yes.
But Colin was not.
He was not.
Nope.
And Colin did not come home at 11:30, correct?
Nope.
Correct.
He did not come home at 11:45, correct?
Correct.
And when the clock turned midnight, he still wasn't home, correct?
Correct.
Now, at some point, your husband Chris came home. Correct?
Yes.
You testified on direct examination that Chris came home at 12:10 a.m. on January 29th.
That was a lie.
That's what time I believe he did. Yes.
Okay. That 12:10 a.m. time, did you discuss that precise time with anybody prior to taking the stand yesterday?
No.
Was that coordinated with anybody such that your husband and you gave him the same time, 12:10 a.m.?
No.
Because it's wrong. So then they confront her with the video.
Okay, pause 1 second. If he's leaving at around 12:14, leave it at 6 or 7 minutes, that puts your husband coming home at around 12:20 or 12:21, correct?
Correct.
All right. And that 12:10 estimate that you had, you made that estimate before having the benefit of the video, correct?
Correct.
Now, where were you within the house when your husband came home?
In my room.
Bedroom?
Upstairs in my bedroom.
And you share a bedroom with your husband?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when was the first time that you saw him within the house?
He came up to the bedroom.
Okay, so you were in the bedroom and you see him appear in the bedroom?
Correct.
You hear the door opened way down on the first floor?
Yes.
Okay. And it would have taken him maybe about a minute to get upstairs? It wasn't very long?
It wouldn't be very long, no.
Okay. And when he got upstairs, you noticed that he was in wet clothing, correct?
Yes.
He appeared to be cold.
Yes.
And he got undressed, correct?
Yes.
Did he brush his teeth before bed?
I think he got right into bed.
Okay, so you didn't see him brush his teeth or wash up?
No.
And were you in the bed when he came into the bed to go to sleep?
I was sitting up in bed, yes.
Were you reading or watching TV?
I was just sitting up in bed praying for my headache to go away.
Oh, okay. So the migraine was still really
Yes.
bothering you. And you were suffering at that point?
Suffering? I had a headache.
Well, yeah, but a migraine headache, I would imagine.
It was a headache, but I took medicine and I was waiting for it to get better.
To kick in?
Yes.
Didn't even say that.
And that's sort of what you were concentrating on. It's really kind of hard to read or watch TV or concentrate on anything when you have a migraine, right?
Okay, yes.
Now, you would agree with me that your husband Chris was asleep when Colin came home, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So.
And as a mother, you couldn't have gone to sleep until you knew your kids were home, correct?
Correct.
And Colin was the remaining child who was out there.
Was that at?
Which, when he came home, that would give you license to go to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah. What
Now,
time was that?
At the time that Colin came home with Chris sleeping, it's fair to say this was just an ordinary weekend night, correct?
How do you?
Well, in other words, you didn't know that anything tragic had occurred or was alleged to have occurred, correct?
Correct.
So it wasn't like you were paying attention to the clock at that point and recording your memories as best you could because you knew you'd be testifying later, correct?
Correct.
Which also explains the 12/10 estimate, right? I mean, you're being asked about, times that things occurred, and it was just sort of an ordinary day, right? So it's difficult to pinpoint times, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, directing your attention to the next morning, you missed a phone call from your best friend, Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, all right.
And you believe that...
Anyway, they got around the timeline, and we're just going to skip ahead here just for the sake of time, because we'll be here all night, because we still got to get to what happened with me, and then we got to get to what happened with Nicole Albert, and then we got to get to Brian Albert. But you guys get the point. I can tell just by looking at this jury, they know this woman's full of shit. All right, so let me read a couple turtle chats here in the meantime. I got some cash apps here. I'm going to bang through it. We got a bunch, so I'm going to bang through as many as I can, as quick as I can. Don't mind me if I read yours fast. Okay, let's bang through it. Jim Ferris Bueller sends $5 and says, for you, definitely don't skip nipple day. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Barbara sends $20, says, hi to Brian Albert. Can't wait to see you in the AM. Ooh, nice. Samantha Lee sends $10 and says, free Karen Reed, justice for John O'Keefe. Thank you, Samantha. Amelia Lee sends $5 and says, go Georgia Bulldogs. Okay. Go Dogs. $20 from Andrea says, for all you do, free Karen Reed. Thank you very much, Andrea. Lindsay sends $3, says Grant has to be a plant for the Commonwealth. I don't doubt that. $12.50 from Jennifer that says Trooper Bukkake is forever infamous, dying laughing. He will always be Bukkake the rest of his life. His mother might have named him Buchanan, but I named him Bukkake. That's his new name. Okay. Danielle is $20 and says, how is the jury looking when Julie Albert testified? Alert. They looked alert, smart. I mean, I can't tell what they were thinking, but I don't know. I don't know how else to describe them, but a smart looking jury. Like no pajama pants, none. No pajama pants. Billy sends $10, says Grant Smith Ellis deodorant fund. You need a lot more than $10. Thank you. Next up, sends sends $50 and says, I hope these a-holes burn in hell. Me too. Love you, Turtleboy. Thank you, Emma. Kathleen sends $5 and says, for support. Thank you very much, Kathleen. John sends $10 and says, I got your back, brother. Love what you do. Let's fucking go. I agree with that one, John. Okay. That's it for cash apps. I'm gonna read some turtle chats here. We got John sends 25. It says, any info on where Dave McGrath disappeared to? All of his Unsaved Spaces live shows are removed, and he visited Canton with Plevin last month, and they stopped at D&E to say hi to Chris. Plevin and Dougal's brother say he, quote, no longer believes the conspiracy. I have no idea. You'd have to ask Dave himself that. Egger sends $10 and says, for actual journalism and justice for Officer John O'Keefe. Thank you, Egger. Oh, Utility Man Joe sends $10, says, thanks for breaking this entire case down and bringing this corruption to light. Thank you very much. Dave sends $10, says, hey, Aidan, happy Sunday. There have been a handful of times where witnesses have testified differently. It's just a long message you wrote. You got to keep them brief. Do you want to make them explain why they did so? Why doesn't the defense ask for the transcript to be read when they deny changing their testimony over the course of 30? They do. They've done that a couple times, Dave. So thank you very much. $10 from Mary says, I'm on my way from Falmouth to save your place in line. Are you fucking serious? From Falmouth? Damn. I love you, Mary. Let's fucking go. Who should I connect with when I get there? Please check your PM for my cell. Oh, and by the way, I just want to, before I forget, two other things I forgot to mention in opening announcements. Number one, about our good friend, Rita Lombardi. Please take it easy on Rita. So Rita is a really nice person. She's been very involved in the Free Karen Reed movement, comes to all the stuff. Great lady, comes to all my stuff too. Really positive woman. And she posed for a photo with Grant Smith Ellis the other day that was posted on social media, which a lot of people took offense to, right? And I've spoken with Rita about that because, I'm like, I like Rita. And so I texted her and I'm like, you know what he did, right? Do you not? And she honestly didn't know because she's not on Twitter. And if you're not on Twitter, you're not seeing this stuff, I guess. And so I sent her some of the videos of Grant calling me a rapist and stuff like that, and just being an all and out degenerate. And she officially condemns. Okay. She does not She basically thought she's one of those people that thinks that, wants to, unite people and, has a good heart and all that stuff. And means well, definitely means well. But definitely would not associate with somebody like that, right? If she had known kind of what he was all about. So let's take it easy on Rita. She meant well. And, it is what it is. Like, I think she knows now that Grant is a piece of shit. So, that's the first thing I was going to mention. Exactly. Salt of the earth, good people. Exactly. Anyway, so yeah, she sees the goodness in everyone. I mean, she tries, but there's no goodness in Grant. And that's the thing. It's like, and sometimes people are just, you can't save them. You know what I mean? But, and Grant was using her. Like, let's be honest. Like, Grant is using her. Like, Grant's a piece of shit. Like, this whole, like, let's get Grant, buy Grant food. Nah, Grant should die in a hole. Like, Grant is a fucking useless maggot, waste of space. He's like Brian Riccio. Like, the world is a better place without him. Like, we all agree. Like, the best thing Brian Riccio ever did was die. I mean, that's just straight up. Nobody can deny that. Like, Brian Riccio spent his entire existence, I'm with Kirk Minahan, spent his entire existence just being useless. Not just useless, like horrible. And does anyone miss him? Did he even have a fucking funeral? Did anybody go to it? Like, no, nobody did. Because he's fucking useless. And like, it's the same with Grant. It's the same fucking thing. He's the new Brian Riccio. And I'm sorry if that offends you. I actually am not sorry at all. I hope it offends you. Okay? Because some people, the world is a better place without. Brian Riccio is one of them. And when Grant dies, it will be the same way. Like, the world will be a much better place without Grant. That's just a fact, not opinion. And go fuck yourself if you don't like it. So there's that. Okay. Also want to give a big shout out to the following people who held seats the other day and got me into the courthouse. Okay. Dennis Sweeney, Lisa Ox, Lori Saywin, Gene Fallon, Mark 𝗵𝗺. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Marianne Tui, Denise, Matt Keogh, and Tim Rochford. And a special thank you to Erica Walsh for organizing it all. Okay. And right now, my guy Russell Jones is down there holding it down, sitting there. If anyone would like to join him, right, throughout the night, we would graciously appreciate that. He's willing to do it all night, but we'd love to have some people go down there and just show support. Fuck Grant, right? Fuck Grant Smith Ellis. Fuck this, system of trying to keep Turtleboy and Jessica Machado out of the courtroom. That'd be great. That'd be great. So, yeah, there's that. Cool. So anyway, let me read a couple more turtle chats. We got MJ sends $10. How did Grant know about Lally wanting you removed from the courtroom before you or Bradl? He was tweeting about it before it happened. And that's a good question. Like, he was tweeting about there was going to be some exclusion order, and there was. They did file an exclusion order. I mean, that could have been a lucky guess on his part, but it's really sad he's a crazy person, obviously. But the problem is when the Commonwealth thinks like him and acts like him. Like, he's only a crazy person should think I should be excluded from a courtroom. That's absurd. It's absurd that I should be there's no safer place in America than a courtroom. People are, people have to take the stand against like people who raped them and be 5 feet away from them. And they can be in a courtroom together. But somehow I can't be in a courtroom with Brian Albert because he's too scared of me. He's too scared. He just can't do it. Big, tough guy, Brian Albert, cannot be in a courtroom with me because he's scared. Brian Albert's so scared of little Turtleboy. Turtleboy gonna hurt his feelings. Turtleboy did a peaceful protest at his house back in July and said that Brian Albert murdered someone and threw him out in the front lawn, and that hurts poor Brian Albert's feelings. And Brian Albert wants to dress up as Mr. Rogers and come into court and be so sad. Oh no, Turtleboy gonna be there in court, and Turtleboy gonna make Brian Albert so sad. Oh no, he's so scared of the turtle. Pussy, what a pussy. What a fucking loser Brian Albert is. You loser. You loser. You fucking pussy. You had to run to a grand jury and cry about Turtleboy. Turtleboy came to my house and he brought women and children with him. And they stood on a sidewalk and he talked about that time I murdered someone. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Loser. Loser. And tomorrow his ass getting smoked by Alan Jackson, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So, yeah, and here's the deal. Like, so I'm banned from the court only when certain, people like him who are scared of me and Bukkake, I can't be there for Bukkake. I can't be there for Proctor. I can't be there for Jennifer McCabe. So the good one. I can't be there for all the good ones, basically. And that's by design. They don't want it that. I couldn't. Chris Albert's come and gone, so I missed him. But we are appealing it with the SJC. That will be filed by Tuesday at the latest. And in the meantime, Auntie Bev is letting me stay in the courtroom. Like if I get in line and I'm one of the first 10 in, which I am, then I get in tomorrow. So my plan tomorrow, but I have to leave when one of these witnesses comes in. But if they're not on the list of the 9 people I'm charged with, plus Nicole Albert and Brian Albert Jr., because they live with Brian Albert, somehow they just got grandfathered in or something, then I must leave. Right? If other people, I can stay. So tomorrow I'm going to go in. I'm going to be one of the first 10 in, and I'm going to get my seat. Auntie Bev says that if I have to leave, my seat gets saved so I can come back that day. So tomorrow I'm going to go get my seat. I'm going to get kicked out because Brian Albert's coming in first. And I'm going to watch it downstairs and live stream it from the courthouse. I will live stream it from the courthouse. And so Deb is going to set up the stream tomorrow and I will join it when Brian Albert's on. And then when it's over, I will go back up and I will take my seat that has been saved because Caitlin Albert is the next one after that. And Caitlin Albert's not on my list. His daughter's not scared of me. He is, but his daughter's not. So I'll be there tomorrow. Either way, we can do this all the time. Okay. So he thinks Brian Albert will be 2 days. He can't. I mean, it's going to be a lot. It might be all morning, but I can't imagine 2 days. That's crazy. But I mean, everybody knows that's my plan. Everybody knows it's my plan. Oh, in this whole donut thing, let me rant about this donut bullshit. I mean, there's none of these alibis make any sense. So first of all, this idiot's alibi or this idiot's story is that she found out that John O'Keefe was dead at 8 a.m. because she has this tradition where she brings donuts to this house to Brian Albert Jr., right? Whenever he turns another year, she is required by Albert ritual to bring 6 donuts over there for some reason, even in a blizzard. So she brought them in a blizzard and coffee too. She brought, and I think she said she left them in like his car. She didn't even go. She's dropped them off. Like, here's your donuts. I got to go back home. We're in the middle of a blizzard. But, Brian Albert Jr. needs his goddamn donuts or else he'll kill me. Oh, so that's her story. That makes no sense. Then the Collins story too, which is even dumber. Collins' story is that he was at his friend Michael Leonetti's house, whoever that is, that he got picked up there. We don't know by who. I don't know if they're clear on that. If somebody can fill me in what the story is, who they're claiming picked up Colin at Michael Leonetti's house, whoever that is, and then brought him to 34 Fairview Road. Why did he want to go to 34 Fairview Road? To say happy birthday to Brian Albert Jr. in person. Because he couldn't send him a text and say happy birthday, cuz. No, he had to go there. And their story is the only people in that house were Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, and Brian Albert Jr. because the adults weren't back yet. And so those people, Brian Albert Jr. like 21 back, I think then. Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel I think they're Brian Albert Jr.'s age, maybe a little older. I'm not entirely sure. And Colin Albert's like 4 years younger than them. So Colin Albert had to ask for a ride to go to his cousin's house in a snowstorm, at the beginning of a snowstorm, just to say happy birthday. And then asked for a ride later on, I don't know, 20 minutes later, I don't know how many minutes later, from Ally McCabe to come pick him up and get him the fuck out of there because the grown-ups were coming home and wanted to party, and Colin Albert hates partying. So he just had to leave the house. That's what they want us to believe. That's what this is the story these idiots are going with. As opposed to, why not just say Colin was in the house? If John O'Keefe was killed outside the house, what does it matter if Colin's inside the house? You idiots. Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, there's that. All right, next one. Next turtle chat here. Mr. Jackson sends $5, says, fuck Mary, leave in a cold. Auntie Bev, Gemma Cabe, and Katie McLaughlin. I don't know. Fuck Mary, leave in cold. I don't know. Oh, God. I guess Katie McLaughlin, she did look okay in some pictures. Mary, I guess Auntie Bev. I don't know, because she's got money. I don't know. And Gemma Cabe definitely leaving cold. So there we go. Mary sends $10 and says, I sent him with DM. I am on my way up from Falmouth to save your space in line. Please share my contact info in your DM with whoever is up there now. God, you people are fucking amazing. That is amazing. I love you people. God, you're awesome. Anonymous sends $50 and says, last week we had Pizzagate. Do the Clintons have an alibi? We also have Cannone and Lally violating their oath again by removing Dr. Turtleboy. Could they be on a George Soros payroll? Not sure, but thank you for the $50. $10 from Casey says, when the reporter asked Julie Albert about her faux pas on the stand, she responded, I had no idea the Bukkake thing would blow in my face. Stop it. Stop it. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. Ellie sends $5, says, dude, free Karen Reed from a liberal to a conservative. I'm glad we were on the same page for something so obvious, all caps, following you throughout this, man. I get a lot of that, and I appreciate that when this is kind of cut across political lines, this story. Like, a lot of liberals have kind of come on board Turtleboy, because if you're new here, I'm kind of a pretty radical conservative dude, but I don't even really pay attention to politics anymore because this story has dominated my life, and I don't really give a shit anymore. All I care about is free Karen Reed. Like, that's the only thing that matters to me in like the last year and a half. Like, I literally don't even pay attention to politics or anything else except for this fucking story. Like, so thank you very much, sir or ma'am or whatever. Thank you. All right. Read a couple more. Tanya, $5. Check out Andrea Burkhart's YouTube channel. She is an appellate lawyer and did a job reviewing your hearing from Friday. Thank you for all your hard work. I'll give that a shot. Thank you. CJ sends $10 and says, Grant needs to be section 12. Definitely. Michael sends $10. What do you think of Carl the Cuck being banned from the courthouse for bumping Karen? Is it true? Is it confirmed? Again, that's one of those things that Nick posted on social media. And I can't confirm that. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I don't know if that's 100% true or not. So I have no way to confirm that. So thank you. Next, Adam sends $10 and says, do you think Gemma Cabe will follow Brian tomorrow? I'd have to leave if that happens. So hopefully not. Pat sends $10 and says, unfortunately, I don't recall what I was going to say. All right. Mary sends 25 and says, thank you for all you do in highlighting this corruption. Can't wait for the cross in the AM. Me too. It's going to be dope. Sean Kelly sends $7. Odds Grant Smith Ellis goes postal. We'll see. Next up. So that's, if anyone else wants to send a turtle chat, you can click at the link at the top, send me whatever you want with the message, or you can cash at me $1 Uncle Turtleboy. I'll read some of those a little later, but we got to get back to this thing. Okay. So let's pull up. Let's go to the next thing that happened. So this chick testifies. She's all done. We get to the end of her testimony.
Stapled anywhere or taped anywhere, correct?
Correct.
Nobody appeared on January 29th. Now, after you left the waterfall, it's fair to say that you didn't know precisely where your son Colin was that night, correct?
All right. So then things got interesting. So while this is going on, my lawyer walks in. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know if you guys can see this. So my lawyer, Tim Bradl, is there. And, you know, a bunch of the other reporters come up to me and they say, is that your lawyer? Can you confirm that's your lawyer? And I said, yeah, that's my lawyer. He's here on unrelated business. That's what I thought. He was here on unrelated business. And he had another client there. I knew he was going to be there. Then they asked me, the other reporters asked me, then why is Alan Jackson and Adam Lally standing with him talking to Judge Cannone? And
Morning recess. You're actually your testimony was up.
Thank you.
Right. So let's let the jurors go first because we're doing something that may take a little while. So we got you coffee.
We're doing something
a little bit longer. Okay.
And so I'm a little like, you know, like everybody's kind of looking at me like, what's going on? Oh, there's this idiot. Okay. Like there's my attorney walking up there. Again, this is what happens. So everybody's kind of looking. And there's my attorney. See his hair going across there. And everybody's kind of wondering what's going on there. And so I'm just sitting here like, oh, fuck. What is going on now? All right. I knew something was up. I'm like, there's some shenanigans are brewing. And I'm like, okay. All right. So then I'm just like, so Ted's asking me, everybody's asking me there, like, isn't that what's Tim doing? What's going on there? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I think he's here for unrelated business. I don't know. And Ted goes, then why is he talking to Jackson? And everybody wants to know. Then the court TV lady comes over and she asks me, can you confirm this is your lawyer? She asked me, can you confirm that's your lawyer? I go, yeah, but unrelated. It's unrelated business. Knows the camera's on me. Like they know some fuckery is a fuck. And I still don't know what's going on at this point. I'm like, I don't fucking know. And then I look around. I'm like, what? Something's up here. They want me out of here. They are not going to let me have a nice day. They are not going to let me do my journalism. They've made that very clear. They are not going to let me do my journalism. There's Jen McCabe's two stupid sisters. So blah, blah, blah. And, you know, talking. I'm like, what's going on here? And rumors are starting to spread now. Okay. So I get up and I go over to, this is Tim's paralegal, Courtney. Okay. And I'm going to go over to her and ask her a question. And that's when I look at her and I go, is this about me? I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And my God, I don't fucking know what's happening. Can I go a little faster? Go faster. I'm looking at her. See? Okay. Then I look over there. I'm like, okay, so she brings me over there. And then Tim's like, okay. So then we're like, fuck. Something's going on. And then we have to leave. And I'm up. We got to go talk. Okay. So then we go in the other room and we find out that a 6-page. Have you guys seen this thing yet? The motion to kick my ass out of court. Let me pull this up. Do we have this? Yeah. Okay. So this is the, I don't know if you guys can read this. I'll show you this real quick. It's pretty small, huh? That's what she said. Now comes the Commonwealth. A motion to exclude Aidan Kearney from the courtroom during portions of the ongoing criminal trial. Kearney was indicted for intimidation of witnesses that'll be called to testify in this trial. He colluded with, and the defendant and her counsel colluded with, directed, and encouraged Kearney to attack witnesses, to embarrass, intimidate, and deter those witnesses from testifying in this trial. Okay? So first of all, what evidence is there of that we talked on the phone? So they just automatically assume that, like, oh man, they must be talking about intimidating witnesses because they, or bear with me now. We were talking about, like, she's a source for a story I'm writing about a murder cover-up. Like, that might have something to do with it. We might have briefly discussed those during the 189 times that they know that we talked on the phone because they took my goddamn phone and they went through it like psychopaths. Okay. Maybe that's something that we were discussing, perhaps. I mean, it's just insane. Then they go on to say that he wants to stop them from testifying at trial. Not true. I want them to. That's literally why I'm here. It's because I want to hear what they have to say. He publicly confirmed the motivation of his actions was to prevent this case from going to trial. Well, first of all, I never said that. Secondly, I guess I failed if that was my fucking motivation, which it wasn't. But what I said was, I don't think this should go to trial. I don't want this to go to trial because I think this trial's a sham. And as the whole country is seeing right now, this trial is in fact a sham. If you're new here, you don't know what's happening, you don't know my whole story, you can go back and read some of the stories I've written about my charges. We can do a whole thing on it. The long and short of my charges, right, is that I'm being charged with witness intimidation, felony witness intimidation, because of comments I made on this show, out of context quotes that they pretended were nefarious but weren't actually. I did an impression of Colin Albert. I literally mocked Colin Albert and did an impression of him based on one of his TikTok videos that they're calling witness intimidation, even though I'm making fun of him. I left Michael Proctor a voicemail in which I asked him questions about his involvement in this cover-up, and I said his phone number out loud on the show, so they call that witness intimidation because he got harassing phone calls afterwards. I didn't threaten him at all. I said his phone number on the show. I didn't even know it was his phone number. The phone number was on Jennifer McCabe's public call list, which is in the court documents. I'm being charged because I held a peaceful protest in Canton in which we peacefully went to the homes of Michael Proctor, Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert, Julie Nagel, and I think one other person. And we peacefully protested their involvement in the murder of John O'Keefe for 7 minutes. No vandalism, no calls to the police, nothing bad happened. They called that witness intimidation. And they said that he stated that his goal is to make sure that the trial doesn't happen. I said, I don't want the trial to happen because I think this trial is a farce. It is. It's a waste of taxpayer money. You are allowed to have that opinion. So if you're unfamiliar with this case, that's why I'm being charged with witness intimidation. These charges have zero chance, like literally zero chance of going anywhere, and they know it. It's already falling apart. They've hired the most incompetent special prosecutor by the name of Ken Mello, who is tapping out, who wants nothing to do with this anymore. All right? It's a joke. The whole purpose of these charges is not to convict me, just like the purposes of charging Karen Reed is not to convict her. The purpose is to protect these McAlberts. That's the purpose. What they're trying to do is use it as a way to discredit me and say, that guy over there, he's bad. His journalism is, don't listen to his journalism. He's a criminal. He intimidates witnesses. And they've been somewhat effective in doing that because every time my name is mentioned, it's just, he's being charged with witness intimidation. They all mention that. And, like bigger channels like Emily D. Baker and, the lawyer, guy, I've started listening to them and they don't know anything about this. All they know is, well, he's the witness intimidation guy, right? He intimidates witnesses. That's what he does. He goes up to them and they don't know any of the details. They don't know that like this whole thing is bogus and has no shot. They haven't read the court filings. They haven't read the charging documents. They haven't been following. They just hear witness intimidation and that sounds bad. And they've used this now. I've been convicted of nothing. I haven't intimidated anyone, but I can't be in a courtroom. They're taking away my free press. So we will be arguing that. We will be arguing that in court. Like that's the whole purpose of this. So anyway, yeah, they're basically, I mean, here's the 6-page goddamn fuckery. He publicly insulted and disparaged the prosecution. Oh no, the judge, the witnesses, and the victim's family. Oh no, not disparage. Can't disparage people. So then the case law, they wanted, okay, indictments. And then this one about raises concerns over the safety of jurors as their identities are impounded and pursuant to an earlier court order. The media is prohibited from filming or photographing any juror. In July of 23, he doxed a seated juror by publishing her personal identifying information, photographs, and videos with a malicious intent following a mistrial in Commonwealth versus Manny Lopes. That is the Michael Chesna murder trial. To be very clear on that, after one juror refused to deliberate, I got a hold of the public jury list and I found out the name of the juror and I wrote about how she caused the mistrial. I did that. You're allowed to do that. There's nothing illegal about that. The trial was over. It was over. The mistrial had already been declared. So I wrote about it. And even Cannone's like, nah, that's not good enough. You can't do that. That's bullshit. He's allowed to do that. So anyway, we could talk about this all day long. Let's watch some of what happens in court because my lawyer did an excellent job. So we had to go in that other room on the fly and basically read this all over. And we're like, fuck. And so Bradl's basically like, look we're going to ask for more time because I just got this. I need time to write something up, blah, blah, blah. She's got to give it to me. She didn't give it to him. And let's pull this up. Let's go to what happens now.
In connection with this case from the courtroom during the testimony of certain witnesses. Before we begin, are you advancing the concerns of the DA's office or the concerns of the witnesses themselves or both?
Both, Your Honor.
Okay, so...
If I may, I'm sorry to jump in, but just if I may, I do have what I think is a pretty substantial procedural objection.
Okay.
Maybe I'd ask that you sort of just make a quick bifurcation of the issues here, and we can address the procedural issue before we get into the substance of the motion.
Sure, I'll hear you.
We could. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, so the record is clear, because we may need an appellate record in this case.
Okay.
But I was here in the Norfolk Superior Court today, completely unrelated to Mr. Kearney, my client, as you know, in the other matters. And I was here today on the matter of 𝗏𝗏𝗆𝗄𝗏 versus 𝗫𝗏𝗃𝗃 for a motion to suppress.
Which is a case that I am in the middle of that motion to suppress with you.
Exactly. And I actually figured that we wouldn't do the motion and get a date. But I was fully focused on that matter and had no notice whatsoever that the Commonwealth was in the Reed matter, was seeking to exclude my client as a journalist from this courtroom. The first thing is that, and I know the court has a job to do in terms of ruling on this motion, and that's fine. And I ask that the ruling be that it be denied on procedural grounds. The procedural grounds are, Judge, that there's been no service of process whatsoever on a case where the government is seeking to essentially trample all over my client's First Amendment rights as a journalist. On 15 minutes notice. I know you gave me the thing 15 or 20 minutes ago.
And it's more than half an hour, but I understand.
Well, you get the point. So, this is not something that I can process and absorb and make any sort of cogent arguments on the merits of the motion on that time period. And I'm sure that the court respects that. I'm trying to address it as best I can, but I think that the procedural issues here should control. And here's the procedural situation, Your Honor, that the government filed this 6-page motion. There's a footnote 2 that refers to them serving this motion on May 8th to the Associated Press. Why they couldn't just pull up my email and serve me is an open question that I'd like an answer to in open court. So they can serve the AP 2 days ago, but they can wait and not even serve me with the motion when I get here to court today on a completely unrelated matter, I might add. So there's some funny business going on here, and there's been nothing but funny business from where I sit from the Commonwealth on Mr. Kearney's matters. And here we go again. So I don't appreciate that from counsel.
This is funny
from the Norfolk County DA's office. Number one. Number two, Your Honor.
I mean, this is wild that in the middle of a nationally televised trial that the whole world is watching, they stop it to talk about little old me. They make it all about me. And Bradl gets his time to shine, and he did great. Because he's done this so many times for me now. Like, he is so used to me just getting fucking my rights trampled on, like, over and over again. Like, it's like they hate me. They treat me like the most hardened criminal in Massachusetts. They locked me up over nothing. I've never committed a crime in my life, and they locked me up over it. I certainly didn't assault anyone. There wasn't a single person in the world that actually believes that lying fake victim was assaulted. Not one. Nobody actually believes that. Even the trolls, they all know she's lying. They just don't like me, and she's useful. That's it. None of these people none of these people were intimidated. Stop it. They just don't like me. That's all this is. And they're happy to weaponize the state against me. That's it.
Mr. Kearney has covered this case and written about 350 news articles on this case. Yep. He has developed evidentiary scoops on this case that have added to the quantum of evidence in the matter. He's never caused a problem. He wishes to be in the galley of journalists like everyone else and cover the case. Yeah. There's never been a problem whatsoever. This is more personalized retaliation from the Norfolk County DA's office against Mr. Kearney. Another point, Your Honor, is that this matter, as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, is res judicata ×2. Judge Krupp in this very court addressed this exact issue about Mr. Kearney covering this matter, being in the courtroom with witnesses that had a stay-away order, all the same people.
Like twice, like, and he gets pissed here. Like, again, Judge Krupp, in the same case, I had, all these people had stay-away orders on me, Brian Albert included. They had stay-away orders on me. We got those amended so that I could attend the Karen Reed hearing. Like, yeah, you have to stay away, but the Karen Reed hearings you can go to even if they're there. They cannot kick you out of them. That was amended. Krupp did that. Then across the street, Judge Pomerol, 2 weeks ago, the fake victim. We got the order. She, remember, they kept showing up with her. The McAlberts would bring her to court because I didn't have a stay away order with the McAlberts anymore. So they would bring the fake victim with them, who they just met and they became friends. And they would bring the fake victim with them. And then they would use her as a shield to eject me from the courtroom. And so we got that amended and I can go. And so this is twice now. 2 judges have said the courtroom is a safe space. He has a right to be in the courtroom and watch these proceedings. But that's because even those judges are fair. Pomerol fair, very fair judge. Krupp wasn't a fan of him, but he did the right thing with that. Not Cannone, though.
That the government is trying to have another bite at the apple with here. All these people, this was adjudicated fully with the special assistant DA before Judge Krupp, and Judge Krupp ruled against the Commonwealth. Judge Krupp said that Mr. Kearney was able to be in the courthouse covering this case, regardless of any of these witnesses in the stay-away order. The stay-away order was exempted from Mr. Kearney. Mr. Kearney's presence in the courtroom, rather, was accepted from the stay-away order. Okay. So this is done. This has been adjudicated. It's been adjudicated again, Your Honor, by Judge Pomerol across the street in the district court. One of these people associated with Mr. Kearney's detractors, Ms. Kearney, has taken up with the Commonwealth and sought charges and sought a restraining order against my client. And Judge Pomerol recently, as recently, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we were across the street, Your Honor, seeking to vacate the order under the doctrine of unclean hands because this plaintiff keeps trying to contact my client while under restraining order. Putting that aside, the ruling in that matter, Judge, was another ruling in support of Mr. Kearney's First Amendment rights. It was another ruling that said Mr. Kearney was not subject to the restraining order in any court of the Commonwealth. And the reason we brought that motion, Your Honor, was because these same witnesses that the government here is, again, trying to advocate for their own personal issues, those same witnesses somehow took up with this plaintiff across the street, Ms. Kearney, brought her to court here in prior Reed proceedings to kick out Mr. Kearney, because at the time she had an operative order against him. And Mr. Kearney, to his credit, got up and left and got out of here. And that situation was what we addressed across the street with Judge Pomerol.
Paul O'Keefe, according to her own testimony in court, you're looking at Paul O'Keefe there. According to her testimony in court, Paul O'Keefe is the one who invited her there. In case you're inclined to feel bad about this piece of shit for any reason whatsoever. I mean, usually you empathize with the murder victim's family. This is one of those rare cases where how can you empathize with Paul O'Keefe? He's hanging out with the people who killed his brother, and he's bringing the fake, like he's turning his brother's murder trial into a circus by bringing the side whore to court with him in order to eject something called Turtleboy. That's it.
Well, he agreed with us and said, you can go to court, you can cover this case. So number 2, litigation number 2, this has been established. Mr. Kearney followed all proper channels. We worked with the SJC media office. He has a press pass. He's doing everything in accordance with all of the rules and regulations that are in place. He's been harassed, and we have it on video, by other so-called journalists on this case at the steps of the courthouse. And he just wants to be here. He doesn't want to be an issue in this case. He wants to sit here and cover the case. He's done his job. He wants to watch the trial unfold. And he has an absolute fundamental First Amendment right to do so within the confines of this courtroom and within the confines of time, place, and manner restrictions. He's followed everything, and he's here. We've gone through all of these hurdles, Your Honor, and Mr. Kearney triumphed, as he should, because it's the First Amendment that needs to triumph here, not any particular person. And that's what he's doing. Yep. And there's absolutely no reason for the government to sneak behind my back to interfere with his First Amendment rights. Right. It's outrageous, and on procedural grounds, I ask you to deny the motion for all of those reasons. And if the court has some hesitancy to do so with respect to these procedural issues, I ask that you set a date in give me 7 days or so that I can properly respond to this motion on the merits of whatever's in these 6 pages of the motion that I haven't been able to look at. So thank you for hearing me, Your Honor.
All right, sure. And you wanted a response to your question from Mr. Lally on why you were not served, but the Associated Press was served.
That's correct.
So if you talk about that in the procedural part of this, Mr. Lally.
Yes, Your Honor. Simply put, Mr. Bradl, neither Mr. Bradl nor Mr. Kearney are parties to the case. I can't presume that Mr. Bradl's representation on one criminal case is going to extend to a motion of which he would be at best a third party.
But he didn't even serve Bradl. He served it to the Associated Press. It's like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be his lawyer. Shut the fuck up, Lally. You know exactly what you did, you slimy rat fuck. God. How do you feel that Mello makes more money than you, failing to fucking prosecute me than you making a whole fucking year, you loser?
On a separate criminal case, we are required under the SJC rules to serve it upon the Associated Press, which we did.
Okay. So I think that's your record now, Mr. Bradl.
Thank you.
Okay, on the procedural issue. Okay. We have a jury out. I do want to address the merits of this as best we can. And Mr. Bradl, at the end of this hearing, whatever I end up doing, if you want to come back and readdress it when there's more time, depending on how I rule, I'll give you the opportunity to do so. But I have to get this trial moving at this point, one way or the other. So I'm going to hear the Commonwealth on their motion. Then I'll hear you, Mr. Bradl, to the extent that you can respond. Okay. All right, Mr. Lally, I'll hear you on your motion.
Your Honor, very shortly, very simply put, this is an instance in which the Commonwealth is not asking that Mr. Kearney not be allowed to cover the case or that he not be allowed to watch the trial. What we're requesting is a partial closure of one individual. And the legal standard for that is essentially a substantial reason. Substantial reason, Your Honor, being that Mr. Kearney has been indicted and has open cases for intimidating witnesses, specifically witnesses in this case. He has confirmed statements indicating publicly that his actions that he's taken in regard to those indictments were to prevent the case from ever going to trial and to intimidate those witnesses. Those witnesses will be called to testify in this case. And what the Commonwealth is simply requesting is that he be excluded physically from the courtroom, not excluded from watching the trial, not excluded from covering the trial, but excluded physically from the courtroom while those witnesses.
I mean, what's the purpose of excluding me physically from the courtroom? Tell me. I'm not threatening. What does he think? I'm going to jump over the thing and go attack them? What does he think I'm going to do? Seriously. You have a right to be in a courtroom. I'm a reporter. I haven't been convicted of anything. Nothing. I have a First Amendment right to be there.
Are testifying from the stand.
And the witnesses you told me have expressed concern. What do you say about that?
Yes, Your Honor. The witnesses have expressed concern. The Commonwealth is concerned as to his presence affecting their testimony or their ability to recall. And for all of those reasons, the Commonwealth would submit the administration of justice and the witnesses being able to testify, as well as the witnesses' own concerns are more than meet the test of the substantial reason for Mr. Kearney's exclusion during the course of their testimony.
Okay. Mr. Bradl?
Oh, the witnesses.
Your Honor,
What did he say? The witnesses are going to uncomfortable? Is that what he said?
Witnesses' concern has no legal.
This is great. This is great. The witnesses concerned. They said the witnesses are concerned. Who gives a fuck? Who cares?
Legal materiality under the law. So the answer that I have is, so what?
So what? That was the best.
The witnesses concerned. Where does that fit into the law here, Your Honor? This matter has been adjudicated twice. Mr. Kearney has the right to speak on the case. He's gone through all the proper channels to be here. He is not in any way wants to or is trying to make any issue of his presence here. And he's just trying to cover the case as best he can. And this is just a personal vendetta that's been carried out by the Norfolk County DA's office against Mr. Kearney. And, you know, this is where the court needs to hold the line on the First Amendment. You know, this witness intimidation statute, Your Honor, is an absolute abomination. It is going to be struck down.
It is.
It's just a matter of time. And this is just a continuation of everything the special counsel's been doing to Mr. Kearney. Now the office itself is doing it. There's no reason for this motion to be allowed, Your Honor. There's no discomfort exception to the First Amendment, Your Honor. There's been absolutely nothing advanced, especially on an emergency basis, which is, I assume, why this is being done with no notice. There's been no establishment of any emergency. There's been no conduct whatsoever on the part of Mr. Kearney to justify this motion. And I did happen to see some reference to the 𝗄𝗏 trial about published something to the effect of doxing a seated juror. That is false. Yeah. Mr. Kearney wrote a story on a juror after the jury was discharged.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no prohibition or problem or issue with that. And it is absolutely protected conduct by the First Amendment. And it is not in any way a grounds for this court or the Commonwealth to assert any wrongdoing against them.
Right to a fair trial are honored and upheld. And because of the chilling effect that Mr. Kearney's presence, I find, will have on the witness's testimony, I'm going to excuse him while
the chilling effect. She said it's going to have a chilling effect on the witnesses. What evidence does she have of that? How will it be? What the fuck does that even mean? A chilling effect? No, what she's doing what the witness intimidation statute is doing to me and to everybody else who wants to peacefully protest, that is the chilling effect. People are afraid to protest because they don't want to get a felony charge, because you can't protest in Massachusetts anymore if people are a quote unquote witness in a case. That's what the chilling effect is, Auntie Bev. You absolute tyrant. We saw it with the buffer zone shit with her. These people, it's out of control. They have lit the First Amendment ablaze in Massachusetts.
Named witnesses in the Commonwealth's motion: Julie Nagel, Christopher Albert, Colin Albert, Michael Proctor, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Brian Albert, and 𝗺𝗰𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗃. And the Commonwealth also today requested Nicole Albert because of the incidents that reportedly have been held at her home. I'm going to excuse him during all of that testimony. Now, in my media order, if you have it, I'm sure your client has it because they're handed out to the press. Under number 1, I say that anyone leaving the courtroom to the media during the trial proceedings may lose their seat and may not be permitted re-entry unless there is available seating. That will not happen to Mr. Kearney. I will not take away his seat today. For other witnesses who are not subject to this order, that seat will remain empty. No other person of the media will be able to take that seat in his absence. Okay?
Your Honor, one last thing, if I may, just came to me as I was standing here. Extension in the same regard as to Nicole Albert for the address would be Brian Albert Jr., son of Brian and Nicole Albert, live in the same address.
It's for the same reason, so Brian Albert Jr.
Oh yeah, add him on too.
All right, so those are my findings, Mr. Bradl. It should give you enough to seek appellate action if you wish. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
all right.
Believe me.
All right, so I'll take a short recess. We can bring counsel back in and Ms. Reed back in, and we'll proceed with the trial.
Tim told me too. He's like, normally I'd sit up there with him, but he's like, no, I want you sitting up there. If she kicks you out of here, I want her to kick you out. I want to be the symbolic. You're a reporter. You're a journalist. You've earned your spot there. If she's going to kick you out of the courtroom, kick you out as a journalist, not as a defendant, because you're not a defendant right now. You're a journalist, and she's kicking out a journalist, and the symbolism of that needs to be seen, and it was. So it is what it is. Welcome to all my new followers. I'm the guy that got kicked out of court for journalism. There's that. All right, so let's go on to Nicole Albert, right? Yeah, I want to get through this as quick as I can. I got some timestamps here. I screenshot it. I was listening to this all over again today. And obviously there's a lot of testimony and we can't listen to the whole thing. So I want to get to the parts I consider to be the most interesting. So let's pull them up. All right. 258. No, wait. Because it's not interesting. I mean, Lally wastes like an hour just going through like, do you know what this is a picture of? Yeah, motherfucker, it's my driveway. Okay, cool. Do you know what this is? Yeah, it's a flagpole. Yeah. And so what's your name? And, tell me, how long have you lived in Canton? It's just like, oh, so we're going to skip that part. Get to the murder. Okay, let's talk about that. So I'm going to skip to right about here.
And he was just kind of asking us all, okay, where were you last night?
Objection, Your Honor. Okay, sustain. Next question, please.
And by the way, I've never heard Nicole Albert speak before. This is Brian's wife, Jennifer McCabe's older sister, the third of the 4 Weeks girls. The other two are in the sitting with the O'Keefe family. They brought Jen McCabe's and Nicole Albert's sisters with them because that's how Paul O'Keefe rolls. And I've never heard her talk before. Dude, she is grizzled. And beat up by, dude, she sounds like she smokes 5 packs a day. And this was not what I was expecting from Nicole Albert. She is grizzled. So let's listen to her.
What you're talking about, where in the house did you talk about?
That same dining room area.
And without regard to sort of content of conversation, but about how long a period of time did that conversation with the officer go on?
That's one of the first.
I don't know.
Hold on again.
He was just kind of asking us all.
This is about when Lank came in the house. Because remember, Lank is that first cop that came in the house. And you guys remember what Lank said he went into the house? Because this is interesting. I want to pull up his testimony. Do you guys pop quiz? Where did Michael Lank say he went in the house when he came in the house? How far did he go into the house? Again, I'd have to go back. I could be wrong about this, but I'm almost positive. If I remember. Thank you. Thank you. Didn't he say that? That he never left the foyer. That's what he said. Now listen to what she says.
Okay, where were you last night?
Objection, Your Honor. Okay, sustain. Next question, please.
The table that you're talking about, where in the house are you talking about?
That same dining room area.
And without regard to sort of content of conversation, but about how long a period of time did that conversation with the officer go on?
I don't know, 45 minutes.
So now he's saying there's
maybe, I'm not exactly sure.
Now he's saying they're sitting around the dining room table and he talks to them for 45 minutes. Michael Lank does.
As far as how the conversation ended, at any point during the conversation, did yourself or your sister or your husband or did anyone ever sort of end the conversation and tell the officers to leave the home or anything like that?
No.
And you welcomed them inside once you realized what was going on?
Yes, absolutely. And I believe another officer had come in as well.
Now, after the officers leave from your home, what happened then?
So I believe they left and said that someone would be in touch with us, the state police or somebody.
All right. Let's get to the next part here, next timestamp. I got right here.
Then we were all just still kind of sitting there. Carrie, who is another person that was called that morning, she had been at the hospital, so she was kind of calling Jennifer, giving updates as to what was happening with John. So we were kind of waiting to hear how he was, if he was okay. Then around, I don't know if it was 8:30, I had noticed my sister-in-law, Julie, had pulled into the driveway, and I saw her get out, and she was putting a box of donuts in my son's car, whose birthday it was, because they had a bit between them where every year she did that. She got him donuts, and she would leave them for him. So I saw her.
These people and their fucking stories, they've had nothing but time to rehearse these stories. That's it. And by the way, they've been doing it in graveyards. I mean, in cemeteries. And I got a story coming on that this week. These people have had clandestine meetings at cemeteries where they don't have any loved ones buried. And we've looked. By the way, can anybody, this is a little project I've been working on. Can anybody find me Jen McCabe's mother and if she's alive or if she's dead? And if she's dead, can anybody, because I can't confirm this. If she's dead, can you find her obituary for me? Because I've looked. I have looked for this obituary. Because this is she is dead? What's her name? I mean, it's got to be Weeks, right? Something Weeks. She is deceased. Does anybody know what? She died when Jen was 5. Really? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to know. Like, I'm trying to look into this. I cannot find her obituary anywhere. I'd like to find this out. But they are having a lot of clandestine meetings and shit. Like, we got pictures, a bunch of them. A bunch of them. So please send me that information if you have it. So, okay. I'd like to learn more about that. Anyway, so let's play some more. Listen to this. So she's about the donut thing, okay? About the donut thing. She says that whatever, what's his name, is bringing donuts over. Or Julie Albert's bringing donuts for him. But now she's saying that they just left the donuts in his car. They didn't even come in the house. And they also said, somebody said they brought coffee too. So you put hot coffee in a car? What? How does that make any sense?
And I said to my husband, oh.
Objection. Okay, not what you said to your husband. So wait for another question.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Spoke to her husband, and where did he go?
He went to the door because Julie was about to get back in her car and leave, and I thought that she should be made aware of what was going on.
Oh.
So your husband goes to the door, and at some point
she was about to just drop off donuts and leave. But like, yo, bring her in here so we tell her about the murder. Yeah, she said she got a coffee. She was just going to make. This is the story these people have all rehearsed. They all say the same story too.
Your sister-in-law Julie comes in the house.
Yes.
And if you know about how long period was Julie at your house?
Right, just skip to another part.
An hour or two. I'm not sure.
She's in there for
not sure. So as far as people that were over your house that morning, do you have any idea sort of how long people were congregating around your house after that initial Mr. K bursting into your bedroom?
Again.
Like if this was a real murder trial, like, you know what they would be asking this woman? Like, they'd be like, did you hear a guy get killed outside of your house? If this was a real murder trial, like, so a man was killed in front of your house. Did you hear anything? But they can't say they did. They can't say they heard anything, because then it doesn't make sense why they didn't call police, right? So they have to be like, oh, I didn't hear it. Like, the witnesses didn't witness anything. It's the most bizarre murder case ever. That's why the witnesses are the ones on trial. It's because none of them witnessed anything. And that's why all Lalli talks about is like this most, so who's there? And what time are you guys there till? What were you guys talking about? And, oh yeah, did he bring donuts? Just like, this is it. Like they're spending their entire time developing alibis. No one is actually providing testimony about Karen Read killing someone.
And it could have been between an hour and 2.
Look at her.
And
dude, look at her eyes. Look at her.
At some points,
Nobody believes this person.
we mentioned that the Canton officers had indicated that you maybe spoken to at some subsequent time by troopers from the state police, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when was it that you, if you know, when was it in relation to this date that you spoke to anybody from the state?
I wasn't interviewed for a couple days later.
Oh yeah.
And do you recall where you were when you were interviewed?
I was at my house.
Okay. What's that smile? All right, I'm gonna switch to.
We got the dog from a shelter in Texas.
Okay, now
And what type of shelter would fair to say is a rescue dog?
Yes.
And where did the dog typically go within the house?
It was when it was allowed anywhere in the house.
And as far as nighttime, would there be any sort of particular pattern of where the dog would sleep?
Yes, at nighttime when we went up to bed, it came up with us and it slept in our bedroom.
And at any point in time, during the time from when you returned from the waterfall to your home, where was the dog at that?
Well, the dog had been up in the room, and I believe my husband, when we first got in, brought her down to let her out to go to the bathroom.
And when the dog went out to go to the bathroom when you lived at 34 Fairview Road, where would the dog go? How was that?
Well, she pretty much she knew the door where to go. So when she had to go, she would go to that door and she would just go out and run in the backyard and go and on her own.
So on her own, and someone would
So
go to the
nervous.
back door?
Yes.
Look at her.
And the back door that we're talking about, what kind of door is that?
It's a regular door.
I mean, is it a door that opens? Is it a sliding door?
What a stupid fucking question in a murder trial. This is how you know they have nothing. They're like, hey, witness. Traditionally, witnesses witness shit. Traditionally, witnesses in murder trials witnessed a murder or had some information that they could offer that would like help them convict a murderer. These witnesses don't have any of that. So they're like, what kind of door was it? Tell me about the door. Was it a sliding door or a traditional hinged door? Tell me about the door. Marlboro Red lady, like what?
No, like just a regular door, and it had, I think, a storm door
Regular door.
behind it.
Yeah.
And the backyard area of your home in 34 Fairview, when you lived there in around January 2022, how was that enclosed area?
It was fenced in.
So dog putting it out if everything's closed up in the back.
Yes, as long as the gates were shut.
And as far as that particular evening, after you returned from the waterfall, you indicated your husband let the dog out. About how long a period of time was the dog outside?
I believe it was pretty quick. She went, did her business, and came back in. I think she might have walked around the kitchen for a minute or two, and then I think you just brought her back up.
Not the conversation.
We had always planned to move, but it was in our plans that, what kids are starting.
So now they're going to talk about why they sold the house. And again, this is all defensive. If you're trying to convict Karen Read of murder, right? Karen Read killed someone outside of your house. Tell us about that. What did you see that contributed to that? But they're not doing that. They're getting on the defensive. Lalli is getting ahead of like the third party culprit shit. He knows that the defense is going to say, why did you guys sell your house shortly after the murder? And so he's like, so why'd you sell your house? Tell us the lie about why you guys sold your house. That's what they're doing. Instead of being like, tell us about how Karen Read killed a man, they're like, tell us about why you sold your house. And this is the stupidest lie. The Dunkin' Donuts lie is stupid. The Colin came over to say happy birthday lie is stupid. But this might be the stupidest lie. The why we sold our house lie. Like, this is the dumbest lie. Just listen to this one.
Starting to get older, we were looking to possibly downsize. So at the end of 2021, my husband's brother had sold his house.
Why not? Look at that face. Why not just stop there about we were looking to downsize? Just stop. That's enough. We were looking to downsize. Okay, whatever. But instead, they're going with this thing about Chris Albert sold a house, so we have to sell our house too. I swear to God. This makes sense to them somehow.
No, I'm going to allow that.
My husband's brother had sold his house and got a good deal for it. It sold pretty quickly. The market was really good at that time. So we just started thinking, hey, you know, the kids are getting older. A couple of them had already moved out. We weren't going to be able to stay in that house. You know, it's like a 5-bedroom house. Once our kids were gone, my husband and I wouldn't have been able to maintain that. Needed a lot of work. We couldn't afford it. You know, so we said, maybe now's the time we should put it on the market and see what happens. So I think in November, December.
So hold on. Next question, Mr. Lally.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
So you put it on the market, it sold, and then you moved.
Objection leading.
The objection sustained. Ask a non-leading question.
I know.
When was it that the sale was finalized?
April of 23.
And as far as selling the house, what if any?
Look how nervous she is. She's so bad at this. Like she's just coming across as way too nervous. But yes, the same stories. Like this all sounds so rehearsed. So yeah, so I have a little brother named Chris. He sold his home because he's kind of a degenerate who can't pay the bills. So he sold his home. And, you know, we decided that when my little brother sells a home, we sell homes too, because that's the Albert way. It's a ritual. You wouldn't understand. You're not a McAlbert. You wouldn't get it. What? This makes sense to them? This is what the best lie they came up with.
Relationship to that house to what occurred on January 29th, 2020.
It had no relation to it. We had already had thoughts and plans of doing it before that happened. We'd reached out to a realtor in the end of 21.
Yes.
All right, so let me go to the next part here about explaining her husband's behavior at the waterfall bar. The fighting. See the.
Ms. Albert, when your husband drinks, does he often?
So I'm sorry. Are we taking this down or keeping it up?
Yes, John, you can take it.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Albert, when your husband drinks, does he often get into sort of these practice sparring, practice fighting stances? Is that common for him?
Objection.
No, I'm going to allow it.
No, I don't think so.
So this type of behavior was unusual for him.
No, I think they were just fooling around. I don't think there was anything much to it.
Like, that's not normal, by the way. Like, grown men, like, at the end of the night, don't just be like, let's, for 5 minutes, get in boxing stances. Bunch, and then I'll come up behind you, and I'll fucking thrust into you, give it to you, Higgins. Yeah, I got to practice thrusting on you, Higgins. Give it to him. Yeah. And then play a little grab ass. To her, this is normal because this is the kind of man she's attracted to. Like, this is the kind of man that the Weeks girls marry. Is just a fucking meathead deluxe. That, like, yeah, this is just what the boys do. Yeah, sure, he's like 55. And he, you know, they go to the waterfall bar and they act like, put your dukes up. Yeah. And this is normal for her. Like, this is the man of her fucking dreams. By the way, Nicole Albert wakes up every day and hates her life. I don't know if you guys notice this, just from looking at this woman. Her husband fucks around with a lot of women, obviously. He fucked Jill Daniels. Imagine your husband fucked Jill Daniels. That's not, and he got caught by the nanny, by the way. So he fucked Jill Daniels, ratchet ass Jill Daniels, who looks like a beat up leather sofa at Alston Christmas. All right. And she's married to him every day. She, like, this woman hates her fucking life. Look at her. She hates life. And now she's just like had to live. She's on the verge of breaking. Just look at her. Every day she wakes up. And on top of being married to this douchebag, she's got to help cover up a murder now. And she's like, this woman's on the verge of breaking. Just look at her. Dead inside. Dead.
My question was, is it unusual for you to see him sort of practice fighting?
I wouldn't call that practice fighting. I think they were just fooling around. And yeah, maybe I've seen him do that other times, but it was fooling around. They weren't practicing.
Let me put this a different way. You do know that your husband is a highly trained fighter, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Absolutely not.
She couldn't even say, absolutely not. He's not a highly trained fighter? Oh, really? This is the story we want to go with, huh? I mean, I'm pretty sure we have a video somewhere on here. I mean, if I can find it, in which he seems like a, pretty decently trained fighter. Do we have that? I got it on here somewhere. Let me find it. Hold on. Of him boxing. I know I got it on here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Let me show you this. I mean, this guy, you're telling me this guy's not a highly trained fighter.
cut his teeth as a Marine in Operation Desert. Sergeant Albert cut his teeth as a Marine in Operation Desert Storm. He views his work back in Boston as equally important. And he knows it's just as dangerous.
Oh, yeah. That guy can't hurt you. Yeah, he's not a highly trained fighter. No, not at all. She doesn't know what you're talking about.
Your husband has no fighting experience whatsoever.
A highly trained fighter? No, he's not.
Okay.
He has boxing experience, correct?
Objection.
So I'm going to see you at sidebar on this, please.
So there's that. So there's another lie they got caught in. I got another book, 335. Let's see.
Let me switch gears a little bit. You testified earlier that there are 4 cars that are usually parked in the driveway at 34th.
The cars thing.
Correct?
Yes.
And you listed at least the make and model of about 3 of those vehicles.
Yep.
You recall that?
Yep.
You said there's a Cadillac that usually is parked in your driveway, there's a Ford Explorer, and there's a Ford Escape, correct?
So she said there's a Cadillac, a Ford Escape, and a Ford Explorer parked in her driveway. But she forgot one car. What car did she forget, Liza Little?
But you also said there's a 4th car. That's your husband's work vehicle.
Yes. Yep.
What type of car is that?
That's a Ford Edge.
Ooh, you forgot to
A
mention.
black Ford Edge.
Yes. Yep.
Is there a reason that you didn't want to state or commit to that in front of this jury when you originally testified?
No, there's no reason. I was just trying to think of all the different cars. We have 5 kids. We've had a lot of different vehicles. I was just saying it as I remembered it.
The reason she doesn't want to mention the Ford Edge is because Lucky Locker, the plow driver, saw a Ford Edge out there at 3 a.m, parked directly in the spot where John O'Keefe's body would be discovered 3 hours later. And when Lucky went by there half an hour earlier, the Ford Edge wasn't there and the body wasn't there. Then the Ford Edge appeared and then a body appeared.
News coverage in this case has revealed the importance of a Ford Edge.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Oh, yeah.
In your mind, a Ford Edge has significance to this case, doesn't it?
Objection, Your Honor.
No, can you answer that? Does a Ford Edge have significance in this case too?
I've heard it talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah.
And what you've heard talked about is that an eyewitness saw.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to stop you on that. The objection.
I want that coming out.
Is that something that you've discussed with other witnesses in this case?
No, it's from my personal recollection.
Recollection.
Of what I'm pretty sure I remembered. He pulled in first. He backed out so we could pull in. And then I'm pretty sure he pulled out and parked along the curb where the mailbox was.
By the way, this is their new lie about Brian Higgins. That Brian Higgins got back to the house first, that he plowed the driveway for them, and that he parked next to the mailbox. Why do you guys think they're going with this lie now? Which, by the way, is a big problem, this lie. So they're saying that, like, right here, right in this area, okay, that Brian Higgins, he pulled into the driveway, then pulled out, and he parked right here, okay, except facing the other way. Why do you guys think they're saying that? Why do you guys think they're suddenly saying that? This is a new lie they're coming up with. First of all, what's the problem with this lie? And why do you think they're going with it? I'm curious. Because here's why, right? Is why I think they're going with this lie. I don't see it. Well, that's the problem. That's exactly what it is. They're trying to get ahead and discredit Ryan Nagel's testimony. That's what I think they're trying to do here. Ryan Nagel pulls up and he says he's in front of the driveway. Well, if he's in front of the driveway way over here and Karen Reed's over here, there's a big plow truck in the way. So maybe Ryan Nagel didn't see everything. That's what they're doing here. They are attempting to, but the problem with this is that Ryan Nagel didn't say he saw any. I feel like he would have seen a truck. You know? I feel like he would have seen a truck, a big plow. He would have seen that. I think that is exactly what they are trying to discredit Ryan Nagel's testimony. I think that's what they're trying to do here. But there's 3 people, and I don't know what their plan is here. But this is just bizarre. This Higgins was parked by the mailbox bullshit. That's new.
So you haven't discussed that statement with any other witnesses in this case?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
You testified earlier that when you arrived at 34 Fairview, your son, Brian Albert Jr. was there, Julie Nagel was there, Sarah Levinson was there, and that your nephew, Colin Albert, was also present, correct?
Yes.
Here we go.
Can you describe sort of your interaction with Colin Albert when you walked in the door?
It was literally, I was coming in. I think we almost bumped into each other. I said, I didn't realize he was there. I said, hey, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I just come by to see Brian, but my ride's on its way. I'm about to leave. And I said, oh, okay. I said, all right, I see you. And he just kind of continued on. I think he must have went out the door.
So
They want us to believe that Colin Albert got a ride over there. Colin Albert got a ride over there just to say happy birthday, and then called for a different ride to come pick him up in a blizzard. This guy's got fucking Uber. Like this guy's just like got free Ubers everywhere, picking him up, driving him around in blizzards just to say happy birthday to people. And then she's like, hey, nephew, what are you doing here? Just came by to say happy birthday. Oh, that's normal. Okay. Yeah. Right. What? Who is believing this? God, I hope the jury's just like, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. All right, back to this.
when you first testified, I believe you stated that you saw Colin seated at the table with Brian Jr., correct?
Ooh. When I testified when?
Earlier today.
Oh.
I don't believe I said
And
that.
shortly after he got up.
No, I don't believe I said that.
You never said that he was initially seated with Brian Jr.
No, I'm pretty sure I said when I walked in, I immediately saw him.
So when you walked in the door, you're saying he was already leaving to go get his friend, correct?
He was standing and looked to me like he was getting ready for someone who was coming to pick him up.
Got it. And when you pulled up with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, that all happened around the same time, correct?
Yes.
And you have never mentioned seeing any other vehicle waiting outside the house for Colin when you arrived, correct?
No.
You didn't observe another vehicle outside the house?
No, I'm not saying he said to me, my ride's almost here. I'm leaving. So I didn't see anything outside about his ride.
And it was cold outside that night?
Yeah.
So he sort of walked out the door before his ride arrived?
I don't know if he went and stood and waited by the door. I came in the house and like I said, I immediately said hello to my son, his friends. I went and started doing my cleaning and I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah, right.
But I assume he left because I never saw him again.
So you're not sure if he was sort of standing by the front door?
I'm not sure. I mean, he could have been standing there waiting. He said his ride was about to be there.
Okay. But you didn't see him leave?
I did not see him leave.
Oh, you didn't see him leave. Okay. His ride was about to be there.
You testified that your German Shepherd, Chloe, was also at the house when you arrived home.
Holy shit.
Correct?
Yes.
She's a large German Shepherd.
Yep, about 70 pounds.
She's not great with strangers.
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that it's kind of a poorly worded question. Would you say that she's good with strangers?
I'd say she's fine with strangers.
Fine with strangers.
Yeah.
Really?
She's definitely not good with other animals, is she?
No, she did not like other dogs.
Chloe actually has a well-documented fight history, doesn't she?
Objection.
Does she? With dogs.
Like, why would he object to that? Like, she's like, what with dogs? Yeah, how is that not? They don't want the jury to know that they have a man-eating dog in this house. Oh, no, she just bites other dogs, except the defense has two people they're going to produce who were sent to. Oh, and you don't have to send me the obituary stuff anymore. I got them all. Thank you. The defense has two witnesses who were bitten by this dog and sent to the ER.
Dogs. A couple dogs, yes.
Ms. Albert, she also has a bite history with humans, doesn't she?
Objection.
Ask that differently.
Ms. Albert, Chloe has injured other humans, hasn't she?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
In one incident in May of 22, when she got out and was fighting with another dog, the woman whose dog it was tried to break up the two dogs.
Oh.
And while she was trying to break up the two dogs, she got injured.
No, she does.
There are actually two individuals who were injured in that incident, correct?
Well, there was two women, but I believe just one woman, from what I understand, had an injury from Chloe. The other one may have fallen or something, but I'm not sure 100%.
There were two women who were actually taken to the hospital after that incident, correct?
Yes, a neighbor had called the police or called an ambulance just to make sure they were okay.
And you mentioned that Chloe had actually escaped from the backyard
Mm-hmm.
in that incident.
Yes,
And that happens from time to time at your house, correct?
it had happened a few times, yes.
And Mr. Albert let Chloe out when he arrived that night, correct?
Yep.
Ms. Albert, you don't have Chloe anymore, do you?
Nope.
Nope.
In May of 2022, 4 months after Mr. O'Keefe's death,
Here's this
you
line.
got rid of your family dog of 6 years.
Objection.
Got rid of
So is that true? Is that when you got rid of your dog?
I did not get rid of my dog. I rehomed my dog.
Got rid of
Your dog is no longer in the Canton area, correct?
No, but I know where she is. She's in Vermont. And that in previous testimony, that information has all been given. So if she was ever needed for anything, We know where she is.
Like, so this, but like, I don't understand why the defense isn't she sounds nervous. Like she couldn't wait to be like, she's in Vermont. She's in Vermont. They love it. I'm sure the defense is smarter than me. What the fuck do I know what I'm talking about? But I'm just wondering why they didn't say like, what town? Like catch her on a lie here. Where? Like whose house? Can you tell us the name of the person who has the dog now? You sound so where in Vermont? Anything to catch them on a lie. Like you could,
Testimony given to the defense?
Probably.
Was I present at the hearing where you testified about this?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Sure.
Let me skip forward.
All right, Ms. Albert, I want to direct your attention back to the early morning of January 29th.
Mm-hmm.
You testified that everyone who arrived at your house just after midnight was sort of generally gathered at the table in the kitchen area, correct?
Yes.
And over the course of that evening, you had never heard any sort of disruption inside, correct?
No.
You didn't hear a crash?
There needs to be an answer.
Sorry, no.
You certainly never heard any screaming or yelling?
No.
And you never heard the screech of any brakes outside, correct?
Correct.
Like that's it right there. That's the only thing that matters. So you're a witness in a murder of allegedly this woman hit a man with a car in front of your house and you didn't hear anything. You didn't hear tires screeching, spinning, somebody being hit, noises, screaming, anything. You heard nothing. And you're a fucking witness. What exactly are you a witness to? Like seriously, what did you witness? Like this is a murder trial. You witnessed nothing.
Okay. On July 20th, 2023, you testified before a grand jury, and Mr. 𝗬𝗏𝗆 was not there, correct? And 𝗬𝗏𝗆𝗺𝗆 was also not there, correct?
Okay.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you were specifically asked during the course of that hearing where everyone was positioned around the table that night.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that sort of line of questioning?
Yeah.
And you explained that your sister Jennifer was seated next to Brian Jr.
Objection. Is there a question?
We're getting that question, so go ahead.
Yeah, shut
You
up.
were very specific about kind of how people were seated at that table that night. Do you remember that testimony? You explained that Jennifer was seated next to Brian Jr. and Matt McCabe was across from him. Do you recall that?
Yep.
But when you were asked where your husband and Brian Higgins were positioned at the table, you weren't able to place them there. Isn't that true?
I skipped the one.
Left 3430 first, correct?
Yes.
You left here first.
Then Matt McCabe, Jennifer McCabe, Sarah Levinson, and Julie Nagel left together, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the very last person to leave your house that night, you said today, under oath, was your daughter Caitlin, correct?
Yes.
And you said she left your house close to 2 a.m. Is that right?
Yep.
Ms. Albert, that's not what you told Sergeant Lank on January 29th, 2022, is it?
I don't recall what I told him.
Oh, well, I do. Stop right there. So she claims that Caitlin Albert is the last person who left the house at 1:45. This is what she's saying now. 1:45. Well, let's see what she told Michael Lank back when this first happened. What did she tell Michael Lank? Quote, the last sentence there. This is her. I spoke with Brian and Nicole Albert. Okay. They said that the people who were in the house, they said the names of, aside from the names already mentioned, the following people were present at some point during the time in question: Brian Albert Jr., Caitlin Albert, Julie Nagel, and Brian Higgins. Note they don't say Colin Albert, who she now says she saw. She didn't tell police that Colin Albert was there because then Colin Albert would have to be questioned. She also doesn't mention the name Sarah Levinson, probably because Sarah Levinson, they probably promised her, like, whatever the fuck shit she saw, like, we're going to keep your name out of it. They'll never know you were here. They won't question you. They ended up figuring it out, but they intentionally kept them out. But notice the part here where it says that they advised me that their daughter Caitlin left the house at 12:15 a.m. when she was picked up by her boyfriend, Tristan Morris. There you go, right there. You said that, Nicole. Well, at least Michael Lank says that he says that. So we got two options here. Either Michael Lank is lying or you're lying. Someone's lying.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your statements, Sergeant Lank?
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Turtleboy part 300. Check it out. Yep. Busted. Gotcha. Listen how she tries to talk way out of this one.
Okay, I'd like to direct your attention to page 2 of the supplemental.
Would you show the prosecutor, please? But I've always maintained that. Do not recall saying that. Do not statement.
Oh, my first, Your Honor.
The statement.
Ms. Albert, this is just a police report containing an interview that's conducted, correct?
Yep.
With Sergeant Lang on January 29th. Is that right?
Yes, the morning of.
Thank you. Have you had a chance to?
Yes, yeah.
Is your recollection refreshed?
Yep.
Isn't it true that you told Sergeant Lang that your daughter left at 12:15 on January 29th?
I do not recall saying that. I've maintained in every interview testimony I've had that she was the last to leave. So I don't know, it was very confusing that morning. Officer Lang was trying to ask everybody, where had you been? Where had you been? When did you get here? When did you leave? I don't know if somehow it was misconstrued, but I've always maintained that Caitlin was the last to leave.
Yeah, it was always maintained. So I guess, I don't know how, like, if that's your defense, I don't know how this statement got in a police report that I supposedly said. This is the police made another mistake, huh? Well, coincidentally, if you told police that Caitlin got out of there at 12:15, that would mean that she got there before John O'Keefe was killed. So it gets your daughter out of the house. But suddenly Caitlin Albert says that she left at 1:45. Why would she say that unless she was confronted by the feds with geofence or some evidence that she was there? They know she was not. They know she didn't leave at 12:15. They got him.
And that's because Sergeant Lang was talking to everyone at the same time, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting around the table. It was a little, everyone was, we're all in shock and it's a little confusing.
Sure, it was more of a conversation than an interview. Is that right?
Yeah.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, not
Yes.
not what you should have said. Another trick, Nicole.
I think maybe someone was saying, oh, Jen and Matt got there at 12:15. He misunderstood. It got misconstrued later in his notes.
Yeah.
But I've always said, in any other time I was questioned, that my daughter was the last one to leave.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah.
So you weren't trying to protect your daughter?
No.
No.
You were forthcoming about always providing the troopers with information about the individuals who were present at it.
Yes.
Oh, well, who else didn't you mention?
Ms. Albert, you and your family discussed this case at length before your interviews with law enforcement, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Did you? Of course. Yes.
That would be 6 days after this occurred. Is that right?
Yep.
And that's the very first time you were ever interviewed by Massachusetts State Police.
Yes. Yep.
Aside from that sort of conversation you described with Sergeant Lang.
Yeah. Yep.
When you spoke to Trooper Proctor on February 3rd, 2022, you left a lot of names out of individuals who were present at your house on the morning of January 29th, 2022. Isn't that correct?
I like this part.
I'm not sure who was left out.
Yeah, who'd
Did you tell Trooper Proctor that your son, Brian Albert Jr., was home that night?
Yeah.
Was home the night of his birthday, or what do you mean?
Yes, the night of his birthday.
Well, yeah, he was home with his friends.
Did you tell that to Trooper Proctor?
I assume I did.
So if it wasn't in his report, that would have been his mistake?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Sustained. So if it wasn't in his report, that would be his mistake because it's not in his report. Spoiler alert. They're setting it up now for the jury that Michael Proctor's a liar, that Michael Lank's a liar. Like everything these people say, that it's not in reports. Names are being left out all the time to protect people. Because I've always said this. Because people always say, how could all these people be involved in a conspiracy? Because they weren't. Because they weren't. You just don't point, you don't list them. That's all this is. Oh, the only people in the house are me, Higgins, Brian Albert, and, the two McCabe's. You all say the same story. You don't mention all the other people in their house. Much easier to keep the conspiracy that way.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor your daughter, Caitlin Albert, returned home with you after the waterfall?
I believe so.
Did you tell Trooper Proctor that your son had 2 female friends at your house when you arrived?
I believe so.
And notably, did you tell Trooper Proctor that Colin Albert was present at your house?
I probably didn't, because anytime I was questioned about who was there, to me it was who was there afterwards, hanging out from like.
Look how defensive she is, man. Look how defensive she is. These are the witnesses for the prosecution. And she's just making up excuses about, oh, so you just told us that Colin was there, but you didn't tell him. So why didn't you? Oh, I probably should have, but I forgot. And blah, blah, blah. It's just like, nobody's buying this. Nobody's buying this. Look how nervous she is. They constantly have to explain why they didn't, like, why reports are wrong and why they didn't mention shit. Like, it's like, look how nervous they are. This woman, she was a horrible witness. Horrible.
the 12:15 point on. I didn't consider Colin as being there because I literally crossed paths with him. He left, and I didn't consider him being a part of the group that was there.
She didn't consider him part of the group, even though she saw him in the house. That's what she wants the jury to believe. Well, he was there, but not like they're there.
Were you asked who was at the house that night?
I assume he asked that, but I also didn't mention the people that my son had previous, because I didn't consider them as part of the people that I was with when I got home.
You never mentioned Colin Albert to Trooper Proctor, correct?
Correct.
And you never mentioned Colin Albert to Sergeant Lang.
Correct.
Yeah.
Ms. Albert, you knew that if you gave Trooper Proctor the name of your nephew,
Watch this.
that he would have to interview him, correct?
Objection.
All right, I'm going to sustain that objection.
Like, that's such a good question, though. You knew if you were going to give Trooper Proctor the name of Colin Albert, that he would have to interview Colin Albert. That's why you didn't mention his name. The jury, and that's the goddamn truth. Look at her. She's like, yup. That's the face of yup. That's exactly why I didn't mention Colin Albert's name, because Colin Albert is retarded and he's 17 years old. And we are not putting our lives in the hands of Colin fucking Albert. Like, no fucking way are we trusting that stupid motherfucker to keep the story straight. He's the dumbest one of them all. And that's saying something.
You didn't want your kids or your nephew to have to tell the police what they saw, what they heard, and what they did that night.
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Is that true?
That is not true.
Then why
But
didn't
you
you?
never told Trooper Proctor about Colin Albert.
I didn't mention Colin because I didn't consider him as part of the group that we were hanging out with after the waterfall.
Right.
Because he left as soon as I walked in.
All right. Sure did.
I didn't even think of him.
Didn't even think of him.
No.
Didn't think of him. Yep.
Didn't think it might be important for the state trooper who's investigating this case to know the individuals who are leaving at the precise time that Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed arrived.
Wait.
Objection.
Sustained.
Like, how is that sustained?
Ms. Albert, what's the first thing you remember waking up to on the morning of January 29th?
My sister bombing into my bedroom.
Your Honor, if we could approach.
I'm going to skip it right here.
Okay, approach sidebar. Or you?
Oh, shout out to 𝗍𝗏𝗍𝗂𝗍𝗏. Like, look at
You recognize sort of the flagpole in the yard,
Yes.
the house,
Yep.
the driveway,
Mm-hmm.
and that looks
Yes.
accurate. And that looks accurate in terms of scale, correct?
Yes.
Permission to publish?
out.
Sure.
Richie has announced that he's been hired by the defense team.
Ms. Albert, where's your bedroom located?
Like, look at this shit. Look at that's microdots, man. Look at that. Their bedroom is right here. This is where John's body was discovered. This is good shit right here.
Want me to show it?
Yes, if you could explain.
Right up here.
So your bedroom is in the upper left-hand quadrant, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The far left window, that's your bedroom window.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep. The two of them.
So on January 29th, you had two bedroom windows on the left side of the house that were facing the front lawn where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that Ms. Reed, Jennifer McCabe, and Carrie Roberts arrived outside your property around 6:04 a.m., correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Did you hear any fire trucks that morning?
I did not.
Did you hear any ambulances?
I did not.
You didn't see the flashing lights of emergency vehicles outside your bedroom window?
I did not. My blinds were shut and my curtains were closed. I did not see anything.
Okay, right.
You testified the very first thing you remember was Jennifer McCabe waking you up in your bedroom.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, just to keep track, are we going to take this down now, Ms. Little? Or keep the lights on? I just want to keep track of that.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay.
What time was that?
I thought it was somewhere between 6 and 6:30.
Can I have a moment?
Sure.
Got nervous. Yeah, she is sweating.
If I told you it was around 6:45 based on video surveillance footage, would you quarrel with that?
If that's what you say.
Okay. Does that sound about right to you?
Yep. I initially from the beginning just said 6:30. I wasn't quite sure.
Ms. Albert, what about the two calls that you received from your sister
This is
at 6:07 and 6:08 a.m., which were answered?
I never answered any phone calls from my sister that morning.
You're aware that the cell-right records indicated that you answered two calls from your sister.
Objection, Your Honor.
And 6:08 a.m.
The objection sustained.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Okay.
You could take a look at this report.
I'm going to show you. We've seen this report before. So again, this.
Ms. Albert, you received
If I could just see what's being shown to the witness before.
I'll show you what's being shown to the witness because this is important. This is what's being shown to the witness. This is called a celebrate data report, right? It's Jennifer McCabe's call log. And as you can see here, at 6:07 and at 6:08, she deleted 2 phone calls to Nicole. One lasted 9 seconds. The other lasted 7 seconds. Right? You see here how it says answered? Answered? That means someone answered it. It's like, and their defense. So if Nicole Albert answered phone calls at 6:07 and 6:08, there's no excuse for her not to come out of the house. She can't say she was sleeping. They didn't think that they get these, but they got them. So what do you do if you're Nicole Albert and they've got this information? You just lie. You just say, it's like Shaggy. Wasn't me. Nope. Wasn't me. I don't know. Wasn't me. I don't know what that is. So what they're going to say is that it went to voicemail. Listen to this shit. This poor lady with the oxygen.
Thank you. May we approach?
Okay.
May we approach?
I'm going to take that, please.
I hate how he says that.
And give it back to Ms. Albert. Thank you. And you can go back and ask a question, and let's see where we go with this, okay?
Let's explain this.
Ms. Albert, do you recognize this document?
Recognize it?
Do you know what it is?
Well, yeah, I see what it is.
Does it refresh your recollection as to the 2 calls you received on the morning of January 29th?
It says here 2 calls were placed.
Okay, don't read it, but you were asked a specific question. So if you could answer the question, please.
Does that refresh your recollection to the 2 calls you received from your sister on the morning of January 29th?
She may have placed those phone calls to me, but I never answered them.
You received a
She may have placed those phone calls to me, but I never answered them. Answered. I guess celebrate is just wrong because it's just wrong. Yeah, Michael Lank's report just yeah, it says right here you said that, but I didn't. Okay. You never mentioned Colin Albert being at the house. Oops. He wasn't like there. Oh. It says here she called you and she called you and you answered. Nope. Wasn't me. Wasn't me. Again, if it goes to voicemail, it will come up as not answered. When you don't answer, like, I don't know if you guys have used a phone before, but the only way for a phone call to go to voicemail is for you not to answer it. If you answer the phone, then by definition, you cannot get a person's voicemail, can you? You can't. But in Nicole Albert world, you can.
call from Jennifer McCabe on January 29th at 6:07:42 a.m. that lasted for 9 seconds, correct?
She may have placed a phone call to me. I never answered it. I never spoke to her that morning.
You also received a second call from your sister at 6:08:17 a.m. that lasted for 7 seconds, correct?
Objection.
Go ahead and answer that.
It says that, but I never answered a phone call from my sister Jennifer that morning.
Not a good answer. It says that, but I didn't happen. It did. I know it says that. I know there's like proof right here that that happened, but actually it didn't. Actually, it didn't. It just didn't happen. Who the fuck is believing this? No, who the fuck is this? I cannot believe they brought this weak sauce to trial.
You're aware that cell phone companies have what are called tolling records,
Yeah,
correct?
really
To
have.
show if there's a voicemail or something of that nature.
Objection, Your Honor.
Please stay.
Ms. Albert, it's your testimony here today that you never spoke to your sister that morning.
I never spoke to my sister on the phone that morning.
Who else was in your bedroom that morning?
Me and my husband.
You and Brian Albert were the only 2 individuals who could have answered those calls that morning, correct?
With only 2 people in the room, besides the dog.
And at 6:07
The
a.m.,
dog did it.
someone had a 9-second call with Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Objection.
All right, sustained. And you've got more for this witness, I imagine, Ms. Little?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we'll take the luncheon recess, folks. It's 1 o'clock.
Hey, by the bell.
Nope.
That's sort of typical practice for you.
Yeah, it was just sometimes with the kids, the last one in supposed to lock it. They didn't, it just wasn't always locked.
Inside your house, you had plenty of blankets and other items that could have been comfort to a man laying in the snow, correct?
Yes.
So as to that form, I'm going to sustain the objection. You can ask the question a different way, Ms. Little.
Ms. Albert, you had blankets inside of your house that could have helped someone who was freezing outside.
Objection.
So I'm going to sustain the objection. You can ask a shorter form of that question.
Just
Ms. Albert, you had blankets in the house, correct?
Yes.
You were also lying next to a first responder.
Objection.
That wasn't correct.
You can answer that.
Yes,
And neither you nor your husband came outside to help John. Correct?
we did not go outside because we had no idea what was going on outside. We were sound asleep until my sister came into my bedroom.
No further questions.
Okay. Mr. Riley?
When she says no further questions, like she's just like, my job is done here. Nobody believes your bullshit. Go ahead, stick with that lie.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And you were shown something that's a 𝗬𝗿𝗂𝗺𝗺 extraction report, correct?
Yes.
And not just that specific one, but have you ever seen any 𝗬𝗿𝗂𝗺 extraction report before in your life?
No.
Fair to say you don't know how to interpret the data that's on there?
No.
Fair to say that you don't know whether or not an answered call or something that's listed as answered was something that was actually answered or went voicemail.
Correct.
Safe to say that you don't know if something that says answered is actually answered or goes to voicemail. No, I'm not a 𝗬𝗿𝗂𝗺 data expert, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, and it seems like if it went to voicemail, it would say not answered, because traditionally the only way to go to voicemail is you don't answer it.
Now,
liars.
With regard to your dog, Chloe,
Mm-hmm.
following that incident in May of 2020,
Do that. The family, we love the dog. And so I didn't want to do that. So I reached out to the woman in Texas we got the dog from to see if she could help. And she said, she couldn't take it back, but she would try to help me out. So she ended up finding a woman who lived in Vermont. I think she lived alone. She had a big property. It seemed like a good fit. She wanted to take Chloe, and we made arrangements, and I went and met this woman halfway. And
You know what, Alice? Right there, when I remember listening to this testimony, I heard this. I met with the woman halfway. My question, if I was the defense, if you want to catch this woman a lie, oh, okay, where's halfway? What town? You would remember that. What town did you meet her in? What town is halfway? Was it Coleraine? Like what Heath? Where'd you go? Bernardston? What town were you in that was halfway where you met this woman? Tell me, what town? She wouldn't be able to. I don't know why the defense didn't do that, because they think they could have got her on that.
I gave her Chloe.
and what many conversations or contact have you had with that woman in Vermont since rehoming your dog?
For a few months after
So not the substance of it, but.
Have you had contact with the woman in Vermont?
Yes, I did for a few months, back and forth.
Now, with reference to Chloe, when your sister Jennifer McCabe comes into your bedroom, hysterical that morning of January 29th, was Chloe in the room at the time?
Yes.
You asked some questions about
whether Chloe somehow didn't wake up throughout all this. So now Mr. Rogers shows up, this dumb fuck who Sean in the Golf is just going to destroy. And I'm going to skip to one part here. So Brian Albert is by far, but could we just talk about how he comes in here, this goofy motherfucker? Look at how he comes in.
Your Honor, and good afternoon to the jury.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
So could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Sure, it's Brian, last name Albert.
Would you someone the entry of the court jury in case they're mentioning truth, all nothing but truth, so
I do.
All right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Your Honor, and good afternoon to the jury.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the jury. Like that, sucking up to the good afternoon to the jury. Good afternoon. Yeah. Not his first time doing this. Good afternoon to the jury. Yeah, I'm going to win them over real quick. That'll make them think I'm not a murderer.
So could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Sure, it's Brian, last name Albert, A-L-B-E-R-T.
All right.
And where do you live?
I believe he was just about 18, 17, 18. He's in high school.
So you're talking about
Were you still in high school at the time?
Yes.
And when you walk in, where was Colin in relation to your son and the two girls that he was with?
He was just kind of standing in the kitchen with Brian and the two girls. Brian and the two girls were at the kitchen table, and Colin was just kind of standing there.
This is a completely different story from what Nicole just told. That is a completely different story. Nicole said, oh, she forgot to mention him because he was just like on his way out. But now Brian goes in the house and Colin's standing there at the table.
And from the time that you arrived home, how long was Colin at your house?
No more than 5 minutes.
Oh, so
and where did
he's there for 5 minutes. Nicole is just couldn't even remember him being there. He was in and out. But Brian's like 5 minutes. He was there.
There you go.
He left. He just said he was getting picked up.
We said he was getting picked up, and a few minutes later, he left your house.
Yes, I went and used the bathroom. I came out and he was gone.
Now, At some point subsequent to that, who, if anyone else, arrived or showed up at your house?
After Colin left the house?
Yes.
Nobody else arrived at the house.
Your sister-in-law, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, at some point, did they come back?
Grab the dog and let her out back to use the bathroom.
And so when you would take the dog out, or when anybody would take the dog out to use the bathroom, how would that be accomplished? What I'm asking you is, would the dog be on a leash, or would it be let out in the yard? Or?
What kind of question?
No, so the backyard's fenced in, so I would open up the back door and she can go out, use the bathroom, and come back inside.
Oh, that's really exciting.
So the entirety of your backyard, that's a fenced-in backyard, is that correct?
Yes.
And beyond that fence, as far as the abutting, what sort of abuts the back of your property?
Like they start talking about the fucking train schedule here. This is like 4 minutes of testimony about the train schedule, which, what? Are you kidding me? All right, so we're going to skip to this part. We're almost done here. Promise. It's a long show.
What, if anything, is between the kitchen and dining room and the living room that you talked about?
So there's no music and just talking and hanging out.
Well, actually, I want to.
And as far as
yes,
what was going on in the house is important because it. Just listen to this.
Now, in the kitchen area where everybody was, in the kitchen dining room area, do you recall sort of where people were and what they were doing around that time?
Yeah, I think people were just sitting around, having drinks. Someone had a speaker and they were listening to music and just talking and hanging out.
So they were in the kitchen. Someone had a speaker and they were talking and hanging out. Colin's like, get me the fuck out of here. That's lame as shit. Talking and music. I hate that shit. And beer. Fuck out of here. And so they're going to use this music thing. It's like, oh, that's why I didn't hear the murder outside. There's music. Oh, right.
And as far as the sort of group and sort of the overall mood or demeanor of the group back at the house, how would you describe that?
Pleasant, fun. Everybody was having a good time. We were wishing Brian a happy birthday and everything was going great.
Yeah, great. Yep.
And at any point in time, while this was all going on, did you, other than your situation with the dog, was there any point in time where you were not with the group in the kitchen dining area?
No, I would.
Over the course of that morning, things started to sort of wind down at your home. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And about what time was that things started to wind down, people started to leave?
I think Brian left at around 1:30. I believe he was the first to leave. And then others left after that.
When you say others left after that, after Mr. Higgins left your house, where did you go?
So after Brian left, I had gone upstairs and hung out and watched TV.
So he said Brian left after that, right? Brian left after that. But let me see here. Like this all conflicts. Hold on. Shortly after getting her parent, Brian Higgins arrived. Okay. Actually, we'll skip that. Let me go to this part. 6/19/47. All right.
To the house. I never saw him, but I could hear them saying that he was out front. And I think Julie Nagel had walked outside to talk to him.
And at some point after she walked outside, she came back inside. Is that correct?
Yes.
About how long a period of time did you know was she outside?
I didn't really pay attention to how long it was. I don't think it was that long.
And as far as the outside of your house,
okay,
after you had let Chloe out and back in, what any observations did you make outside of your house? Did you look out? Did you see anything outside the house?
Just that we have the windows in the back of the kitchen area. You could just see that it was snowing.
So basically, Julie Nagel went out for a minute and then came right back in. She asked for a ride home. He came, and then she was like, went outside, then didn't leave for some reason. Okay.
Jen, my sister-in-law Jen, and then her husband Matt, and then myself.
And so was that done sort of in a group setting, or was it separate or something?
Separate.
And so they spoke to you in one area of the house while Jennifer and Matthew McCabe were in another area of the house, and vice versa for you?
Yes, I spoke with them at the dining room table, and Jen and Matt were not present. I believe they may have been upstairs or somewhere else in the house.
And if you know, where were you when the troopers were talking to either Jennifer McCabe or Matt?
So I was upstairs when they were being spoken to.
All right. So anyway, Brian, basically, we'll see. This is what he was at. Oh, well, what the fuck's happening there? All right. This is what he's like with, sorry, it's a long night. This is what he's like with Lally. Just boring, Mr. Rogers shit. Tomorrow's the good stuff. Tomorrow's when we get to see what he acts like when real questions are asked to him. And I cannot fucking wait. It's going to be Excellent. So let me read a couple turtle chats here to end the night. This is the bang through. I don't want to miss anyone. We got a bunch here, and I can take any questions you guys have. 𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗺 sends $5 and says Grant enjoys a good donut ritual. All right. Amanda sends $10, says leaving coffee and donuts in a car in the middle of a snowstorm. Yeah. Okay. Seriously. Heather sends 5 and says, do you think they will confront Proctor or his sister that the timing of her text to him offering the gift from Julie will coincide with the timing of Julie and Courtney's calls that day? Probably. Bob sends $10, says no one should laugh anymore at Grant. He's like a pipe bomb with a fuse. He's dangerous and in our face. He is dangerous. That's the thing. Someone's going to get hurt, and when we will say, oh my God, I knew it, do something, write the court and judge. I bet he makes the jury nervous. He's out of control. He really is. Like, it's not funny. Like, shit's not funny. Alyssa sends $25, says, what's your prediction for the date the verdict is read? I would say 2 months at the rate we're going now. Sir Francis, $25 and says, Wendy and her narcissistic son are absolutely insane. You showed incredible restraint, not slapping him around. That I just don't have in me. I had no choice, man. I'm on probation. I'm on parole. Not parole. Probation. I'm on probation. I can't afford to. Out on bail. Casey sends $5, says, Finn, how they are intimidated yet. McAlberts clearly are your biggest fan. Only true riders named Bukkake. Fuck you, McAlberts. Okay, thank you. Don sends $10 and says, good to know our rough, tough, fearless stadies can be chilled and scared by a journalist and the First Amendment. I know, seriously. Molly sends $5 and says, I'm watching from the start. I am autistic and I don't act like that moron from your video outside the courthouse. Neither does anyone that's autistic I know. Please don't. Okay, sorry. Relax. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. I love Turtleboy. Thank you. I don't don't take it too personal. Sometimes I just say some shit. Karen sends $10, says, all that funny business was deliberately pre-planned and calculated. Your attorney's impromptu response was beautiful. Guessing they weren't expecting him to fire back so eloquently. He will be highlight moment in a free Karen Reed movie. All right. Agreed. Thank you. Nicole sends $25, says, I'm very disgusted with how Grant Smith Ellis talks to women, and I'm sorry Jessica Machado had to deal with that abuse. I also call all my pets he, she, or her, not it. Thank you very much, Nicole. I agree with you. Casey sends $10 and says, Turtleboy, officially, I disavow the following comment. Whoever orders D&E pizza to the courthouse tomorrow for delivery to Brian Albert on the stand is a legend. No, do not do that. Rachel sends $10 and says, defense needs to ask about people taking off their shoes when people go in the house because it was snowing. Where is O'Keefe's other shoe? It's a good question. Good question. Well, they found it. The troopers found it 12 hours later. The Canton police missed it, though. John and Lori sent $10 and say, if we went out and met up with friends and family is coming to the after party, I wouldn't be cleaning my bathroom, etc. If a new person came, I would be cleaning up. Good point. Rachel sends $10 and says, if someone I knew was laying in my yard and there were cops there, I'd be outside trying to find out what happened and if I could help. Well, they were sleeping, though. They didn't know John was already taken away, supposedly. They just sat inside and said, fuck it, because they knew what happened. You're absolutely freaking right about that. Nothing about these people is normal. Also, turtle chat here from, do we have another one here? Rachel sends $10 and says, for the brothers in blue, betrayed O'Keefe, how fucking sad. True. Little Irish girl sends $10, says, you handled the Friday fuckery with class, Aidan. Thank you, little Irish girl. James sends $5 and says, from Chef Mike, thanks for forgetting about me. Bob sends $10 and says, Russell Jones is the man. Yeah, he is. He's down there holding him down. Thank you. We love Dr. Turtleboy. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. And then we have here, Lewis sends $20. No comment. Thank you, Lewis. John sends $10 and says, I got your back, brother. Let's fucking go. Love what you do. Love you too. Tyrone sends $5 and says, Chloe had no reaction with all the chaos. That's what that's like the most obvious thing is there's a fucking dog in the house, a really aggressive dog with a lot of drive, and all this shit's going on outside the house. The dog doesn't wake up somehow. Give me a break. No one believes any of this shit. All right, cool. All right. Anyone else have any questions? How's things going down there? How's Russell doing? Do we have any updates from Russell? Hopefully he's doing well. I got to make sure after this show's over, we got someone down there. Is that cocksucker still? We can just go on Twitter and see what he's doing. Luckily, he posts his fuckery online. All right. All right. Luckily, stop. Okay. All right. So hopefully we have somebody down there. I'll take any questions you guys have. Anything you guys want to talk about. If not, we'll call it a night. Big day tomorrow. Man, over 5,600 people still watching. That's dope. And 160 Rumble Rats. Nice to see too. All right. Anyone? Was Colin? I don't know who 𝗺𝗵𝗂𝗺𝗃 is. What did I do with my mom today? I went over her house and I brought my son over there and we hung out for a bit and it was nice to see her. Thank you for asking. Shout out to Sue O'Connell. 100%. If you didn't hear that clip, it was good to see. She defended me. She called me a journalist. And that was really satisfying to hear that. So thank you, Sue O'Connell. I don't know where the Albert twins were living at. That's a good question, but they weren't home. I think they were at Bridgewater. They're always at Bridgewater. She was a German Shepherd. I did hear that one point from Brian. Yeah, I probably would go with that, Jack. Colin in the basement with the dumbbell. Do I think the Popo's coming for me again soon? I hope not. I don't see why. Yes, I will be going to court tomorrow. Thank you, Jessica. I'm happy I can make you laugh. Glad I can make you laugh. Why didn't Lieutenant Kelleher hear anything? Why didn't his ring camera work that night? That's what I want to know. I am tired. It's getting late. No, I don't think Brian Albert Jr. is involved. No one does. He's the biggest guy involved, and nobody thinks he's involved. All right. Anyway, I am going to call it a night because it's been late. So thank you guys for everything. Appreciate all the support. 2 more turtle chats here. Mary sends $10 and says, I'm here at the court. Grant has been in his car for more than 30 minutes. Russell has left. I'm good. If anybody else can make it down there tonight, if you're a late night person and you're anywhere near Dedham, please, like 3 in the morning, just go check it out. We can't afford to have these fucking douchebags steal our seat. It's fucking insane that we have to do this. Insane. But we need to do it. We need to do it. What? What? All right. Anyway, I am going to call it a night then. And hopefully big day tomorrow. Big day tomorrow, and we'll see what it brings. All right. Tune in for the stream. I'll be streaming the Brian Albert testimony from the courthouse. Peace, Turtle Riders.